subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
Synopsis. Luen travels through the world of pirates and obtains the strongest entry system, which allows him to plunder other people's entries. Looking at the golden entry on Koby, who is known as the Deserter King, Luen said, "Are you a clown? Take it." Afterwards, more powerful entries were plundered by Luen. Navy headquarters. He is a monster that can devour everything and take away everything. The most vicious ability user in history. Without the permission of the highest level of the world government, no war is allowed. The most dangerous man in the world. The king Luen. No matter life or death. Reward. 3.9889 billion Baileys. Chapter 1. The strongest entry system. East China Sea. This is a luxurious merchant ship carrying celebrities and wealthy businessmen. At this moment, it is very lively inside, with a dance party being held, and the wealthy and celebrities are constantly toasting each other on the ship. In the middle of it, a graceful figure with orange hair looks out at the sea. The Aurita pirates should be arriving soon, right? Nami looked at the sea that had just experienced a whirlpool, her eyes flickering. She got the news that the Aurita pirates were going to attack this merchant ship, so she changed into a dress and sneaked in. When the Aurita pirates appear and attack the merchant ship, she can take the opportunity to steal the treasure of the Aurita pirates. She is a thief who specializes in stealing pirates. "Beautiful lady, can you dance with me?" There was a chuckle from behind. Nami looked over when she heard the voice and saw a handsome young man smiling at her. "Sure." Nami chuckled and placed her slender hand in the young man's. The vortex just now was really big. Luen brought Nami to the dance floor and said with a smile as he looked at the heroine from the original One Piece who was dancing with him. "Yes, I was shocked." Nami also smiled. Luen just smiled but said nothing, thinking to himself, "Read the entry." Then, a line of light screens appeared in front of Luen. Entries: Nami Pirate Thief, blue; Navigation, dark purple; Weather Perception, light gold. Pirate Thief, blue, a kind-hearted thief who only steals from pirate villains and has developed excellent thief skills. Navigation, deep purple, excellent navigation skills, capable of relatively smooth sailing across the 4 seas and even the first half of the Grand Route. Climate Perception, light gold, able to use the body to accurately sense the weather, and has a strong talent for perceiving the climate. As expected of the protagonist's navigator, he already possesses 1 purple and 1 gold entry at the very beginning of the story. Luen was somewhat emotional. Luen is a traveler from Blue Star. He traveled from Blue Star to the world of One Piece a month ago. Just when Luen was thinking that it was not good to travel to this world full of monsters, his golden finger was awakened. The strongest entry system. As the name suggests, one can enumerate the abilities of others and load and plunder them. The entries are divided into 4 levels: white, blue, purple, and gold. It is simple and clear, giving the feeling of a pay-to-win game on Blue Planet. Among them, the white and blue entries have no hierarchy, giving a very cheap feel to the blue sky and white clouds. Purple and gold entries are divided into 3 levels: shallow, deep, and super. Just by being a pirate in the weakest sea, the East Sea, Nami's navigation skills have become deep purple, and her natural weather perception is light gold. After joining the Straw Hat Pirates and embarking on the Grand Line, these 2 attributes will probably be upgraded rapidly. Yes, the entries are not static, but can be upgraded. However, others can only rely on talent and hard work, while Luen can plunder and upgrade through the system. Entry: Luen Beast Strength Blue. Beast Strength, blue, the power of beasts. Just 1 blue attribute, which is indeed pitiful compared to Nami's luxurious attribute configuration. However, Luen had only been in this world for a month, and he was very lucky to have a dead beast next to him when he crossed over. This beast power, blue, is the entry plundered from the dead beast. Even though it is just blue entries, ordinary pirates only have some white entries, and some don't even have any valuable entries. They're no match for Luen at all. It was also thanks to this blue entry that Luen was temporarily safe in this sea full of pirates. Not long ago, he found the ship where the story began and boarded it. Entry, starting ship the ship where the story of One Piece begins. For entries like this, there's not even any white, only simple explanatory entries. With this entry, Luen naturally wouldn't worry about finding the wrong ship. As for why we are looking for this ship, it is naturally to obtain more advanced entries. This ship will soon be filled with treasures. Luen's mouth curled up slightly. Swoosh. Boom. 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 The next moment, countless shells poured in from the sea, and the violent explosions caused them, instantly throwing the merchant ship into chaos. In the distance, a pirate ship with a heart-shaped skull and crossbones pirate flag was heading towards here quickly. Help! It's a pirate! Don't mess around! Please don't mess around. The passenger screams, and the captain shouts to maintain order continued to ring out. But under the threat of pirates and cannonballs, it was impossible to maintain normal order. The time has come. Nami looked at the pirate ship flying the Alrita pirate flag, and her beautiful eyes flashed with joy. But soon, Nami discovered something was wrong. How come a young man who was dancing with her wasn't panicking at all? On the contrary, like her, he looked at the approaching pirate ship with a gleam in his eyes. No, maybe you met someone in the same field. Nami was a little wary. It seems that this lady also has something to do, so let's go our separate ways. Luen let go of Nami's slender hand and smiled. Then, without waiting for Nami to reply, he turned and left the ballroom. It seems that they are not from the same industry. Strange. Nami looked at Luen's disappearing back and thought to herself. But it was obvious that this young man, like her, came here for a special purpose. However, Nami didn't have time to think about it at this moment, as the opportunity to act was fleeting. Nami took off her dress straight away, revealing the thief's clothes underneath. Afterwards, he carefully watched the Alrita pirates who had already begun to attack the merchant ship and waited until all the pirates on the pirate ship rushed up. Nami took out a grappling hook and skillfully slid towards the pirate ship of the Alrita pirates. Luffy's oak barrel, got it. Luen threw aside a voiceless pirate in his hand and looked inside the merchant ship. After capturing the merchant ship, the Alrita pirates put all the wealthy and famous people, as well as the captain and sailors under guard, and then began to search for all the valuable treasures on the merchant ship. This pirate henchman was very unlucky and ran into Luen, who possessed the power of a ferocious beast and was easily dealt with by him. Entry: Oak Barrel. The oak barrel containing Monkey D. Luffy. An entry was displayed from a remote room, very simple and clear. Luen walked toward the room. Chapter 2: Golden Legend. A remote room in the merchant ship hijacked by the Alrita pirates. A dwarf with thick glasses, pink hair, pushing an oak barrel and a cowardly face was stopped by 3 pirate minions. Thin, fat, and black. I found something useful this time, you coward Koby. I just happened to be a little thirsty. The thin pirate had a wicked smile on his face. This is the pirate group's spoils. If Miss Alrita knew about this, she would kill us. Koby looked at the 3 pirate minions with a cowardly face. Why not just keep it from her? Don't you think so, Koby? The dark-skinned pirate grinned, revealing a threatening look. Yes, you are right. Faced with the threat, Koby immediately looked fawning. Look at me opening him. The fat pirate raised his fist, ready to violently open the oak barrel. Bang! The next moment, a pair of fists suddenly stretched out from the oak barrel and hit the fat pirate's chin, knocking him unconscious. Ah, I slept so well. A young man wearing a straw hat crawled out of the oak barrel, grinning and shouting. Who? The remaining 2 thin, dark-skinned pirates screamed in shock and anger. Huh, why is he sleeping here? He'll catch a cold. The straw hat boy looked at the fat pirate who fell to the ground and asked curiously, Isn't it all your fault? The 2 pirates immediately transformed into sharp-fanged figures. You little brat, did you know we are pirates and come here to cause trouble on purpose? The fat pirate took out his knife and held it across the straw hat boy's body. Is there any meat? I am hungry. The straw hat boy ignored him and looked at Koby, who had a dazed look on his face, and asked. Listen carefully to what people say. The skinny pirate roared. In that case, go to hell, little devil. The fat pirate roared and was about to swing his sword at the Straw Hat Boy. The Straw Hat Boy turned around and was about to attack the next moment. Bang! A terrifying force came, and the fat pirate flew backwards instantly. The sound of bones breaking was heard continuously, and he crashed into the cabin and died down. The last thin pirate, looked at the handsome man who suddenly appeared in horror. Koby watched the scene in horror. The fat pirate was knocked silent with a single blow from his bare hands. The sound of the bones breaking was so clear and piercing. Such a huge force is even more terrifying than Aurita holding the iron rod. Who are you? You're pretty strong. Why are you helping me? The boy in the straw hat grinned. Luen, these are the passengers on this ship. These pirates hijacked the ship, and I am clearing them out. Luen looked at the famous King Luffy and smiled. Well alive. Then, he looked at Koby, who was cowering in the corner like a clown with a cowardly and fearful look on his face. Finally, found it. The corners of Luen's mouth curled up slightly. Luen? Im Luffy. Please give me your guidance. Luffy grinned. Please advise me. Luen also responded with a smile. Just as Luen and Luffy were saying hello, the last thin pirate screamed in fear and ran away quickly while holding his two unconscious companions. Oh no! Oh no! If they go find their companions, they'll kill you. When Koby saw this, he screamed in fear. I'm hungry. Luffy ignored Koby at all and rubbed his stomach. I do have some food from the party. Do you like meat? Luen smiled and took out the food he had prepared in advance. Meat! Luffy looked at the food that Rune brought out with shining eyes and then began to eat it with relish. Luen, you are such a good person. Luffy ate with his teeth bared in a smile. Luen smiled when he heard this. Is a clown like Koby worthy of the favor of treating Luffy to a meal? Then, one looked at Luffy and thought to himself, read the entry. A dazzling golden light suddenly lit up. Items: Luffy, superhuman physique, dark purple. Conqueror Haki, unawakened, light gold. Strong relationship, special. Sun God, super gold. Rubber fruit, disguise, dark purple. Human fruit, mythical beast, Nika form, unawakened, super gold. Superhuman physique, dark purple, a physique that exceeds that of an ordinary person, which can quickly absorb huge amounts of nutrients to strengthen itself, and has strong physical strength, which can provide sufficient fuel for the activation of the devil fruit ability. Physical physique entries can be upgraded as the owner's physique improves. Conqueror's Haki, unawakened. Light gold, only one person in a million possesses the quality of king. It cannot be acquired through acquired skills. Once mastered, it can use powerful pressure to make the weak unconscious. With further mastery, one can initially use the Conqueror's Haki to entangle deep gold. With complete mastery of the Conqueror's Haki, entanglement, one has enough capacity to become the Emperor of the Sea, super gold. Strong relationship. Special, possessing one of the strongest relationships in the One Piece world. You can turn danger into safety when you encounter a fatal crisis. If you encounter a desperate situation, you can trigger random effects. Fire Fist, Port Gas D. Ace's Full Force Pursuit. Navy Hero, Monkey D. Garp's Iron Fist, Revolutionary Army Leader. Monkey D. Dragon's Arrival. For Emperors, red-haired Shanks pirates all gather. Special terms cannot be upgraded. Sun God. Super Gold. This generation Sun God is a warrior who brings hope to people. As long as people's hope is not extinguished, he can stand up again and become stronger and continue to fight. Rubber Fruit, Disguise, Dark Purple. Human Fruit, Mythical Beast, Nika form, unawakened, super gold. The Parahuman Rubber Fruit, Dark Purple, is actually the legendary Devil Fruit. The Human Fruit, Mythical Beast, Nika form, super gold. Golden Legend, Luxurious, super luxurious configuration. Even Luen, who had expected this, was envious. This is Luffy who just went out to sea. Compared with other pirates, it is simply a dimensionality reduction attack. Sun God, super gold. Luen looked at this entry, thinking, this is the only super gold entry that Luffy has lit up now. Items such as the Human Fruit, Mythical Beast, Nika form, super gold, and the complete mastery of Conqueror's Haki, entanglement, super gold, have not yet been lit up. Sun God, super gold, as long as people's hope is not extinguished, they can stand up again and become stronger and continue to fight. It turns out that it was because of this entry that Luffy was able to do unlimited sit-ups when fighting Kaido in the original work. Luen finally understood. This was truly a bug-level entry. However, when he saw the entry of powerful relationship, special, even Luen, who knew the plot of the original novel, couldn't hold back. This was the first time Luen had seen a special entry. Well, it is indeed the adventure story of the super third generation, and it also comes with a buff of all the members of the Four Emperors Red Hair Pirates. Not to mention whether you can beat Luffy or not. Even if you force him into a desperate situation and trigger this entry, if Garp, Dragon, and red-haired Shanks come together, even the peak Whitebeard will probably have to kneel. However, Luen's target is not Luffy, but you're also from the Aurita Pirates, right? Luen looked at Koby, the clown who was later known as the Deserter King, and said lightly. Chapter 3. Plundering the Deserter King's Entry. You are also from the Aurita Pirates, right? Luen looked at Koby, the clown who was hated by countless people and was called the Deserter King. Then he said to himself, read the entry. Entries: Koby Navigation, White, Conqueror's Haki, Unawakened, Light Gold, Faction Betrayal, Special, Faction Luck, Super Gold. Even though he had expected it, Luen cursed in his heart. A special entry, another special entry. One special, one light gold, and one super gold. This super gold entry is still lit up, exactly the same treatment as Luffy. Is this clown the original author's biological father? The threshold for an entry to reach the super gold level is an entry with the strength of an admiral level, or an entry with the potential to become at least an admiral level in the future. Of course, non-combat entries such as Nami's navigation skills, Dark Purple, and Climate Perception, Light Gold, have another set of evaluation systems. In other words, those who possess super gold level combat potential entries will at least become a top-level general in the future. But Koby, is he worthy? Moreover, this kind of guy actually has the domineering aura of a king. Is he the qualification of a king? Looking at Koby, who was wearing thick glasses and had a cowardly face, Luen felt disgusted. Then, Luen began to check these entries. Navigation, White's simple navigation skills, can sail in calmer waters. Conqueror's Haki, Unawakened, Light Gold. Only 1 in a million people possesses the quality of king. It cannot be acquired through acquired learning. Once mastered, it can use powerful pressure to make the weak unconscious. Faction Betrayal, special betrayal at a critical moment, causing the camp to suffer heavy losses. Special terms cannot be upgraded. Faction Luck, super gold when the iconic strongman of the camp dies. The target's luck will be returned to you, and your strength will be greatly enhanced. Need to be near the target. Luen looked at the explanation of this entry and decided to retract his previous question about, is this clown Koby the original author's biological father? This guy must be the biological father of the original author, Lao Tse. No wonder Koby the Joker can become the so-called next-generation naval hero despite being in this state. No wonder when Garp died on Beehive Island, the clown Koby inexplicably became stronger like that. The problem lies in the entry of Faction Luck, Super Gold. This clown used all of Garp's naval heroic luck to strengthen himself. The end does not specifically refer to death. As long as the target's era ends completely on the sea and is within the range that can be plundered, their luck will be plundered. Luffy became stronger on Onigashima. Even with the Sun God, Super Gold, attribute, he was knocked unconscious by Kaido's mace several times before he became stronger. As a result, because of the luck of his camp, Super Gold, Koby can be greatly strengthened as long as a powerful, iconic figure of his camp dies around him. Combined with that special entry, Faction Betrayal, special, it is definitely linked. Luen also understood. No wonder this clown rushed out to stop Akainu during the war at the top. Akainu's personality made him listen to this clown screaming for a long time and delay time. It turns out that I was influenced by this entry. Faction Betrayal, special, betrayal at a critical moment, causing the camp to suffer heavy losses. From the Navy's perspective, because of the delay, the Red Hair pirates successfully arrived. Luffy was successfully rescued, and the remnants of the Whitebeard pirates successfully withdrew from the battlefield. Isn't this a heavy loss? In addition, it was because of the clown Koby that the era of the Navy hero Monkey D. Garp came to an end. Then his faction luck, Super Gold, entry was used to strengthen himself. When Luen, who was still on Blue Star at the time, saw this, he often greeted the family of Lao Tse, the author of the original novel. But now, for Luen, the stronger the clown Koby's attributes are, the better. Luen looked at Koby, his eyes flashing with a fierce look. What? You're one of them. Luffy looked at Koby while eating the food that Luen gave him. I am. But there's a reason for that. Koby hesitated. Since you are from the Aurita pirates, then lie down. Luen didn't have time to listen to the clown's nonsense. He kicked Koby, and the beast-like force made Koby faint. Luen, he obviously has no ability to resist. Why did you kick him away? Luffy looked at the unconscious Koby and swallowed the food. Because he betrayed his companions. Luen looked at Luffy and said seriously, Luffy's character is not that of a saint, but he will not attack those who have no ability to resist. This should also be influenced by Shanks. Betrayed your companions? Luffy blinked. Yes, he is from the Aurita pirates, but he told us to be careful of the people in his group. This kind of betrayal is the most despicable behavior on the sea. Companions are precious people to whom you can entrust your life. Luen. Regardless of whether Koby was forced to become a member of the Aurita pirates, the faction he belongs to at this moment is the Aurita pirates. On the surface, he is cowardly and fawning, helping the Aurita pirates. But secretly, he is always thinking about betraying the Aurita pirates and joining the Navy. But after joining the Navy, he still stabbed the Navy from time to time, causing the Navy camp to suffer heavy losses. He was simply a clownish figure. In the Navy, although Akainu is not liked by many people because of his so-called absolute justice, Akainu is not a clown. As a strong person, you can be evil, bad, and extreme, but you must never be a clown. Koby's existence is simply for disgusting people. I see. Hearing Rune's so-called companion's remarks, Luffy nodded in agreement. Luen gave him a lot of food and meat, even though he was starving. Luffy also likes his understanding of his companions very much. As for Koby, after all, Luffy had just met Koby at this time, and because of Rune's intervention, he didn't even say a few words to him. The reason I asked the question just now was because I was influenced by Shanks and would not attack those who have no power. Now that he knew the reason why Rune took action, Luffy even wanted to applaud. The guy who betrayed his companions is one of the types that Luffy wants to beat up the most. Plunder. One looked at the unconscious Koby and his eyes flashed. To loot the entry, the target must be in this unconscious state. Are these entries something a clown like you deserve to have? Here you go. Buzz. Only Luen could see that Koby's entry was absorbed into his body. Done. Luen's mouth curled up slightly. Entries: Luen Navigation, White, Beast Strength, Blue, Conqueror's Hockey, Unawakened, Light Gold. Faction Luck, Super Gold. Upgrading from a shotgun to a cannon. This is called upgrading from a shotgun to a cannon. Previously, Luen only had one blue entry for Beast Strength, but now he has directly obtained one Light Gold and one Super Gold entry. As for the betrayal of the lineup, Special, Luen naturally doesn't want it. As mentioned before, the strong can be evil, bad, and extreme, but they cannot be clowns. That is purely disgusting. Luen, who possesses the strongest entry system, does not need to use such clown abilities to exchange for power. Besides, this special entry cannot be used to upgrade other entries, so is useless. However, the entry on navigation, White, is still somewhat useful on the sea. Get rewards for plundering golden entries for the first time. The Conqueror's Hockey, Light Gold, has been activated. A light curtain appeared that only Luen could see. What a pleasant surprise. Luen's eyes flickered. Chapter 4. Super Entries in 1. Check the entry. Luen looked at the lit-up Conqueror's Hockey entry, feeling very proud. Entries: Luen Navigation, White, Beast Strength, Blue, Conqueror's Hockey, Light Gold. Faction Luck, Super Gold. Conqueror's Hockey, light gold initially master the conqueror's haki, which can be controlled precisely to make the weak unconscious. The weak are not even qualified to look directly at the king. Luen closed his eyes and could feel a terrifying power in his body that he could control. As long as Luen thinks about it, this power can roar out and make the weak unconscious. I didn't expect to gain such a reward when I got the golden entry for the first time. Not only did it awaken the conqueror's haki, but it also skipped the 2 years in the original work when Luffy followed Rayleigh to learn haki control. You can use the conqueror's haki directly and accurately. When conqueror's haki is first awakened, just like in Luffy's original work, it cannot be controlled and can only carry out indiscriminate shock attacks, not distinguishing between friend and foe. Only after training can he perform precise control without affecting his companions. This is the level of Luffy's conqueror's haki after 2 years of training with Pluto Rayleigh. However, because they all use the conqueror's haki to intimidate and make the weak unconscious, the entry has not changed qualitatively and is still at the light gold level. Only by continuing to evolve and reaching the point where you can initially use the conqueror's haki to carry out entanglement attacks can you evolve to the deep gold level. That is the level of Yamato's conqueror's haki in the original work. The corresponding threshold for deep gold level combat entries is the combat power entries at the level of Vice Emperor or candidate for general, or the potential entries that are destined to become the combat power at the level of Vice Emperor or candidate for general. Although at present Luen's domineering aura can only make the weak unconscious, but in the East China Sea, there are almost no people who can stay awake under the precise control of the conqueror's haki, so this is enough for now. Possessing the conqueror's haki means that Luen has a pass to the top powerhouses in this ocean. As long as you fully master the conqueror's haki, entanglement, and have enough capacity, you can upgrade it to the super gold level and become the emperor of this ocean. That is the so-called emperor level. And because the attack of Bachan is so overbearing, its pure attack power is 1 level stronger than that of a general level strongman who cannot use Bachan. The vice captains and general candidates could not even withstand a full strength attack from such a top powerhouse. Below the emperor, we are all ants. Fortunately, Luen has obtained the pass to become a general king. With the strongest entry system, Luen believed that it was only a matter of time before he could fully master the dominance. Oh, it tastes so good. At this time, Luffy, who had eaten all the food that Rune brought, patted his stomach and grinned. Luffy has a superhuman physique, dark purple. Entry. So this amount of food is naturally far from enough for his appetite. However, that is because the Superman physique, deep purple, allows Luffy to quickly digest and absorb a large amount of nutrients in the food to strengthen himself. So he can eat such an astonishing amount of food. These foods are enough to fill your stomach. By the way, Luen, are you a pirate? Luffy looked at Luen. Not yet. I'm just a passenger on this ship. After hearing Luffy's words, Luen did not hide anything. Then do you want to join my pirate group and be my companion? Luffy grinned. Luen just showed great strength. However, Luffy's criteria for finding a companion are not just strength. What made Luffy decide to invite Luen was Luen's remarks about his companions. Because of Shank's influence, Luffy values his companions the most. What Luen said was very much to Luffy's liking. So, you're a pirate too? Luen asked knowingly and smiled. Sure enough, it was to invite myself. Preparing meat for Luffy in advance and the remarks about companions just now really worked. Not only did he not hinder Luffy in dealing with Koby's problem, he also improved Luffy's favorability. So, should he accept the invitation from the future 4 emperors, the contemporary sun god? Luen's eyes flickered. That's right, I'm the man who will become the pirate king. Luffy's mouth opened wide, showing his teeth in a very contagious signature smile. Monkey D, Luffy's invitation has been detected. Do you want to accept it? After accepting, you can load the entries of the members of your pirate group. After accepting, the faction to which Faction Luck, Super Gold, belongs will be updated to the pirate faction. A line of light screens appeared that only Luen could see. This made Luen blink subconsciously, thinking he had seen it wrong. After reading it carefully and confirming that he was not mistaken, even Luen, who had already obtained so many advanced entries, had a flash of surprise in his eyes. What a pleasant surprise. It is impossible for Luen not to be jealous of Luffy's attributes. This is one of the most promising attribute combinations in the world of pirates. But plundering is impossible. Although Luffy has just set out to sea, he has not yet awakened the power of Nika. The rubber fruit, which did not develop abilities such as the second gear, was only developed by Luffy to the deep purple level where he could skillfully use the most basic abilities. But it is not something that Luen, who currently only has the power of a beast and a domineering aura attack, can defeat. After all, Luffy also has the qualifications of a king, and the probability of knocking him unconscious with just the impact of Conqueror's Haki is very low. Besides, even if he won, could Luen, who had not yet grown up, handle the revenge of Garp, Dragon, and red-haired Shanks? As the saying goes, a gentleman does not stand under a dangerous wall. There are so many ways to obtain powerful entries. There is no need to put yourself in danger. But now it's good. I didn't expect that the entry system can also load the entries of the same pirate group members. As long as you join the Straw Hat Pirates, you can load these super items on Luffy. And the camp's luck, Super Gold, was just as Luen expected. He became a pirate and could also become a pirate camp. In this way, when those iconic strong men in the pirate camp die, as long as Luen is on the scene, he can take away their luck and then greatly strengthen himself. The most iconic strong men in the pirate camp are naturally the Four Emperors. And although they are nominally affiliated with the world government, most of them run their own pirate kingdoms and have the legal right to plunder. The 7 warlords of the sea should still belong to the pirate camp. If you want to defeat the 4 emperors, 7 warlords of the sea, and other iconic strongmen of the pirate camp, is there a faster way than joining the Straw Hat Pirates? Whether it is to load super attributes on Luffy, or to conquer the iconic strongmen of the pirate camp, such as the 4 emperors, and let the camp's luck, Super Gold, attributes strengthen oneself, joining the Straw Hat Pirates is the best choice. Besides, Luffy is also quite admirable, and Luen was originally going to consider joining the Straw Hat Pirates as an option. After all, one is not fully grown up yet, and there are still some uncertainties on the sea. Following the protagonist group can allow him to grow most steadily. Now, with such a huge benefit waiting for Luen, there is naturally no need to hesitate any longer. Well, thank you for your guidance, Luffy. Luen stretched out his right hand towards Luffy and smiled brightly. Looking at Luffy, it was as if Luen saw those super attributes on Luffy slowly becoming his own, so he naturally smiled brightly. The attributes of Deserter King Koby plus the attributes of King Luffy. The future is really exciting. Please give me more advice, Luen. Luffy also smiled brightly. Luen was his first companion. Chapter 5, Shining Dominering Aura. Detected that you have accepted Monkey D. Luffy's invitation to become a member of the Straw Hat Pirates. Faction Luck, Super Gold, has updated the faction to the Pirate faction. You can load the entries of the Straw Hat Pirates members. The current entry target is the captain of the Straw Hat Pirates, Monkey D. Luffy. Very user-friendly. The strongest entry system displays the 3 entries on Luffy that can be loaded, and there is an option to load immediately behind each entry. Strong Relationship, Special, cannot be loaded because it is a special entry based on Luffy's background and interpersonal relationships. But as Luffy's companion, you can also enjoy the benefits of this entry, so it doesn't matter. Luen thought for a moment, and in his mind clicked the Yes option behind Superman Constitution, Deep Purple, and Sun God, Super Gold. As for the Rubber Fruit, Camouflage, Dark Purple, Luen did not choose to load it. The Rubber Fruit that did not complete the awakening and became the human fruit mythical beast Nika form is just ordinary among the superhuman fruit abilities. If you want to bring out its powerful force, you need to develop the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th gears. According to the information in the original book, such use will consume the life of the person with the ability. For Luen, who can turn other people's abilities into entries and then plunder them, it is not worth it. After Luffy completes his awakening and obtains the Nika power, Luen will directly load the Nika power. Nika's unique imagination, which can be called a bug, is the power of this devil fruit. After Luen selected the add-ons, Luen's entries had two more items. Luen Navigation, white, Beast Strength blue, Overlord Hockey, light gold, Faction Luck, super gold, Superhuman Physique, dark purple, loading, Sun God super gold. Loading, it is very simple and clear, but compared with direct plundering, the loading progress bar behind it does not load very fast. Superman's Physique, dark purple, was fine, and after a while, he at least moved a little. As for the Sun God, super gold, the progress bar didn't move at all. At least with Luen's eyesight, he couldn't see it moving. But think about it, after all, it is a super gold level entry. It will definitely take a long time to load. Fortunately, Luen has already joined the Straw Hat Pirates, so there is still plenty of time for Luen to load, so there is no need to rush. Being able to load is much better than being unable to plunder these powerful items from Luffy and just staring blankly. Anyway, these entries will belong to Luen sooner or later. You can then slowly test to see if there is any way to speed up this loading. Then let's prepare to go out to sea. We need to find a boat first. My boat was swept away by the whirlpool. Luffy pressed his straw hat and grinned. Luffy, who found his first companion, was in a very good mood. If I can find a ship, I know some simple navigation skills. Luen also laughed when he heard this. This is also the reason why Luen plundered the navigation, white, entry from Koby. One did not forget that in the original work, before Luffy asked Nami to become a navigator, he basically sailed by drifting. In the original novel, it was the clown Koby who led the way to find Zoro using the navigation technique, white. Now that Koby has been defeated by Rune, he naturally has to take down this entry and temporarily take on the role of the Straw Hat Pirates navigator. You are also a navigator? That's great. It's great to have you on board, Luen. Luffy was very surprised. It's just some simple navigation skills. I can't be called a navigator. It's okay to sail in some calm waters in the four seas, but if I want to go to the Grand Route, my navigation skills are not enough. Luffy, if you want to become the Pirate King, you must go to the Grand Line, right? Luen laughed. Of course I have to go. Only by conquering the Grand Line can I become the Pirate King. I have made a promise with someone. Luffy held the straw hat in his hands, his eyes filled with memories. Rune knew that this was the agreement between Luffy and the four emperors, red-haired Shanks. Then it is very necessary to find a navigator who can sail on the Grand Route. As Luen spoke, a beautiful figure who had danced with him not long ago appeared in his mind. Of course I will go look for companions, and I will definitely find them. Luffy put his straw hat back on and smiled optimistically. Boom! At this moment, above the cabin, a wild boar-like figure smashed through the deck and fell heavily in front of Luen and the others. Are you two brats, the ones who are looking for trouble with our pirate group? A creature that was so ugly that it could hardly be called a human was holding a large iron rod and had a bloody mouth. There are many pirate minions above the smashed deck. It doesn't look like pirate hunter Zoro. After glancing at Luffy and Rune, Alrita grinned with her bloody mouth bared. Zoro, Luffy was a little confused. Kirby, you piece of shit, are you still alive? Alrita looked at Koby lying motionless on the side and yelled twice, but got no response. His boar-like face was filled with anger. She didn't care about Koby's life or death, but she was very dissatisfied because she didn't hear Koby's words of praise for her. Who is this rude auntie? Luffy pointed at Alrita curiously. The members of the Alrita pirates on the deck were so frightened that they dared not speak. Ha ha! She's the Iron Rod Alrita with a bounty of 5 million berries. Luen couldn't help but laugh when he heard Luffy's straightforward words. Read the entry. Then he looked at Alrita. Entry, Alrita Iron Rod, blue, Super Wave Gang blue. Iron Rod, blue, able to swing a heavy iron rod that is too heavy for a normal person to lift. Super Bagong, blue, even if you jump from a 10-story building, the fat thicker than that of a wild boar can keep the owner safe. Seeing the entry for Alrita, Luen couldn't help but curl up the corners of his mouth. Super Bow Gang, that's really a vivid description. And Luffy's words and Rune's smile together, in Alrita's eyes, were the greatest insult to her. Go to hell, you two little brats. Alrita roared, raised a huge iron rod, and smashed it at Rune and Luffy. Call out. Rune, who possessed the strength of a ferocious beast, exerted force on his feet and leaped onto the deck with Luffy along the big hole created by Alrita. My name is not Brat. My name is Monkey D. Luffy, and I'm a pirate. Please give me your guidance. Luffy grinned. Who cares what your name is, you little brat? Alrita rushed up. What a fierce Annie. Luffy looked helpless. Stinky brat. Alrita's eyes were completely red at this time. And those pirate minions also knew that they needed to perform at this time. Otherwise, the angry Alrita would definitely smash their heads with her iron rod. So they swarmed towards Luffy and Rune, shouting and killing them. The majority bullies the minority. Luffy yelled and prepared to fight using the ability of the rubber fruit. Leave it to me. Luen reached out and stopped Luffy. In his eyes, red and black light suddenly lit up. Chapter 6. I will stand in the sky. King of Heaven. Luen, can you handle so many people? Luffy looked at Rune, who walked up to him and faced the Alrita pirates and said with concern, Don't worry, my ability is much more convenient than yours, Luffy, in dealing with these trash. Luen's lips curled up in a domineering manner, and there was a faint red and black light in his eyes. Trash, you're so arrogant, kid. Do you think you're the pirate hunter Zoro? The blue veins on Alrita's forehead, combined with her rough appearance, made her look even uglier. At this time, the reputation of pirate hunter Zoro was very great among the pirates in the East China Sea. Even pirates worth tens of millions of dollars are very wary of this man. Zoro? Of course I'm not, but Luen's eyes suddenly focused, and the next moment, the horrifying red and black color in his eyes suddenly materialized, and he roared madly. Remember this name? King of Heaven Luen, the man who will stand in the sky in the future. Boom! The domineering aura of the king exploded. Red and black lightning roared madly in the atmosphere. All the members of the Alrita pirates, including Alrita herself, were affected by the terrifying red and black lightning. They all looked horrified. The next moment, his eyes widened and he fainted. Bang! 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 On the deck, members of the Alrita pirates fell to the ground. All members of the Alrita pirates were killed in an instant. Under the domineering aura of the king, the weak are not even qualified to look directly at the king. The red and black in Luen's eyes gradually subsided. Skay! Luffy only looked at Luen, and all the members of the Alrita pirates, including the rude old lady, fainted. Suddenly his eyes widened and he roared continuously. I have to say that the emotional value Luffy gives to his companions is still sufficient. At least looking at Luffy's exaggerated expression of surprise. In the first release of his Conqueror's Haki, Rune felt very good. But I seem to have seen this kind of power before. When I was a child, something like this seemed to have happened to me. After being amazed for a while, Luffy's eyes showed some memories. When they were young, the three brothers were captured by some villains. When he was facing a crisis, those villains suddenly fainted. This is called Conqueror's Haki. Under this Haki, the weak will instantly faint. One looked at Luffy and smiled faintly. What Luffy was talking about should be the Fire Fist Porghasti Ace, because when Luffy was a child, he encountered a crisis and awakened the Conqueror's Haki for the first time. But then, Ace completely sealed away his Haki because he hated the fact that this power came from his bloodline, the Pirate King Joel D. Roger. Luen did not make any comments on Ace's behavior. After all, Luen is not Ace. He has not experienced Ace's pain personally, so he cannot stand in the perspective of God and say lightly that it is foolish to have the power but not use it. After all, for Ace, his mother's death was caused by the Navy's pursuit of Joel D. Roger's bloodline. When he was a child, he was hated by everyone because of this bloodline, and they thought he shouldn't exist in this world. According to the more popular saying on Blue Star, this is called the psychological shadow caused by the original family in childhood. Ace just wants to break away from the influence of his original family. But if Ace had not sealed his Conqueror's Haki with his potential, he probably would not have ended up like in the original book. All I can say is, Ace, you don't have what it takes to be a king. However, for Rune, Ace's choice and the future war at the top are extremely beneficial. Whitebeard, who has the title of the strongest man, is definitely the top card in the current pirate camp. How much stronger can his ending be through the faction's luck? Super Gold. Luen is looking forward to it, and Luen is determined to obtain Whitebeard's Tremor fruit. The gap between top-level devil fruit abilities and some rubbish devil fruit abilities is even greater than the difference between humans and pigs. Regarding the statement at the beginning, which was due to insufficient information, there are no bad devil fruits, only bad ability users. It was thrown into the trash can in the subsequent plot. The upper limit of each devil fruit's ability is clearly written in the Devil Fruit Encyclopedia. The strength of a devil fruit depends on the devil fruit ability itself, and at most the physical strength and constitution of the person with the ability. After all, the activation of the devil fruit ability depends on the physical strength of the person with the ability. In the original work, the best proof is that when Sabo just ate the flame fruit, the power he was able to exert was no less than that of Ace, or even stronger. But for every devil fruit user, the upper limit of their power is determined the moment they eat the devil fruit. The rest of their power has to be improved through power, such as hockey, a powerful devil fruit. Anyone who eats it will have at least the combat power of a Shichibukai level. The reason why Whitebeard is called the man who can destroy the world is because of the power of the Tremor fruit. Naturally, Luen would not let Blackbeard take away such a top-level devil fruit. One must take part in the war at the top. From now on, we must speed up our efforts to become stronger so that we can get the biggest piece of the pie in the war at the top. Luen's eyes flickered. But Luen, you said you want to be a man in heaven. That's really cool. King of Heaven Luen, that's a good title. At this time, Luffy had no idea about the power of Conqueror's Haki. Compared to Conqueror's Haki, Luffy was more interested in what Rune had just said. The former vice captain of the Pirate King, the man known as the Pirate King's right hand, was called Pluto. Since you're going to be the Pirate King, I think that, as your companion, King's a good title for me. Luen explained with a smile upon hearing this. It's not that Luen has a Chinibu syndrome that makes him say this. The key point is that this is Luen's first appearance on the sea. You know, in the One Piece world, the shutters of the World Economic News Agency are everywhere. Luen, naturally, had to choose a relatively nicer title. Otherwise, who knows what kind of weird title those guys in the Navy will give themselves in the future. The way Luen gets his title is also very simple. The title of the Pirate King's right hand, Silver's Rayleigh, is Pluto. The three ancient weapons in the One Piece world are Pluto, Sea King, and Uranus. The title of Pluto already belongs to Rayleigh, and the title of Sea King does not seem so friendly to Luen from the Blue Star. Then the title of King of Heaven is naturally a good choice. The statement that the future will be established in heaven can also explain the origin of the title King of Heaven. Moreover, this is also a test for Luen. It is detected that the bond with the loading target has been improved and the entry loading progress has increased. And a line of light curtains made Luen's mouth curl up slightly. Really? Chapter 7. There is a long future ahead of me and Nami. I see. King of Heaven is a really nice title. At this time, Luffy smiled happily after hearing Rune's explanation of this title. Becoming the Pirate King is Luffy's goal when he went to sea, and Luffy was naturally happy that Rune, the first companion he found, recognized his dream so much. It is detected that the bond with the loading target has been improved, and the entry loading progress has increased. Looking at the light curtain that only he could see, Luen's eyes flickered. Sure enough, there's a way to speed up the loading of entries. Bond? It really has the style of Japanese comics. Looking at the progress of the Superman Constitution, Deep Purple, entry which had obviously increased, and the progress of the Sun God, Super Gold, entry which had finally moved, Luen's mouth curled up slightly. The title of King of Heaven is chosen because it fits the worldview of pirates and is also more in line with the aesthetics of Luen from the Blue Planet. More importantly, Luen wanted to use this title to test the progress of entry loading. Luffy's dream is to become the Pirate King, so this explanation of mine will naturally enhance my relationship with Luffy. As Luffy is the target of the entry, whether the improvement of his relationship with him can speed up the entry loading is Rune's test. Now it seems that it is effective. Well, it's worth my somewhat childish remarks. Luen looked around the sky but found no trace of the news bird. However, in the world of One Piece, the news bird is everywhere, and Luen, who has not yet awakened his observation haki, cannot accurately find its location. But we just need to wait for the next report to know whether our title has spread across the sea. After all, when it comes to domineering haki, Morgans, the president of the World Economic News Agency, is an expert. Although some people later complained that there were too many people with Conqueror's haki in the New World, if you count them carefully, there are less than 20 people who have been completely confirmed to have Conqueror's haki in the original work. And these people are not all from the same era. The owner of the Conqueror's haki is truly a king. After all, as long as you awaken the Conqueror's haki, you will definitely be able to learn the observation haki and armament haki, and at the very least, you will be able to cultivate the haki to a relatively good level. In other words, as long as the Conqueror's haki is awakened, the owner will at least have the combat power of the 7 warlords of the sea level. A person possessing domineering aura appeared in the East China Sea. The value of this news is still worth Morgans writing an article about. Anyway, after joining the protagonist group, with Luffy's powerful relationship, special, attribute, there is no need to worry about encountering invincible pirates and navy hunting before growing up. Luen naturally doesn't need to be too low-key. The so-called magnanimity in the original work should also be one of the important factors for domineering power, so being low-key is absolutely not advisable for the strong in the world of One Piece. Like Blackbeard, who hid on Whitebeard's ship before obtaining the dark fruit. Because he had been pretending to be a pig for too long, his ability kept shrinking, and he began to think about spending the rest of his life on Whitebeard's ship. So in the One Piece power system, if you pretend to be a pig to eat the tiger, in the end, you will just become a real pig. Only by becoming famous and using the blood of other strong people as a stepping stone can one become a strong person standing at the top of this world. Now that we have taken down these guys, let's quickly find a boat and set sail again. Luffy looked at the members of the Alrita pirates lying on the ground and grinned. Swoosh! Boom! 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 Just as Luffy finished his words, many shells fell on the pirate ship of the Alrita pirates. In the distance, Navy ships are approaching quickly. Navy, then as pirates we have to retreat quickly. Let's go Luen. Luffy was no stranger to the naval warship that appeared. Even his grandfather's warship was much bigger than this one. Luen's mouth curled up slightly. Luen had no intention of plundering Alrita's entry. Luen was not interested in the fat that was thicker than that of a wild boar. Phew, what a great harvest! Nami, who had seized all the treasures of the Alrita pirates, boarded a small boat carrying the heavy package. When Nami saw the naval ships in the distance, she was ready to leave. Swoosh! Boom! At this moment, a small lifeboat crashed directly into the sea from the deck of the merchant ship, causing a wave. Nami blocked the splashing sea water and looked in the direction of the sound, only to see a young man wearing a straw hat and a familiar figure above. You are Nami's eyes widened. Isn't this the man who was on the merchant ship before? It seems that Miss Thief has achieved her goal. Luen smiled as he looked at Nami, who had taken off her dress and was now dressed as a thief, holding a package full of treasures from the Alrita pirates. Nami subconsciously hugged the package containing the treasure tighter. Do you know her, Luen? Luffy asked curiously. We met once, Luen said with a smile. Is that so? But we have to retreat quickly, Luffy shouted as he looked at the Navy ships getting closer and closer. Set sail. Well, see you later, Miss Thief. My name is Luen. Luen looked at Nami and knew that this was not the time to chat. Nami's next destination was the same as theirs. Getting too hung up on it may backfire. Without waiting for Nami to reply, Rune used the navigation technique, White, to control the small boat and quickly left in the opposite direction of the Navy ship. Luen. Nami muttered the name, and then quickly left here using navigation skills. As for Luen's words about seeing you later, Nami didn't pay much attention to it. The sea is so vast, it would be a miracle if we could encounter it. Haha, this is so funny. After completely getting rid of the Navy ship, Luffy laughed. By the way, Luen, Do you know what kind of guy the pirate hunter that rude lady mentioned is? Luffy looked at Luen. I have heard that he is a very powerful swordsman, known as a demon beast in human skin. Luen said with a smile. A demon beast. It sounds very powerful. Luffy grinned. Why? Are you interested in him? Luen asked knowingly. That disgusting clown Koby has been eliminated by Luen. Regarding the issue of Sauron, Luen naturally needs to be the one to push it forward. But without that disgusting clown Koby, Luen doesn't mind being a driving force behind the plot. I want to become the Pirate King, so I have to go to the Grand Line. In addition to you, Luen, I need more powerful partners. If that guy is good, I want him to be my partner. Luffy grinned. Then let's go check it out. I heard he's in Shieldstown now. Luen took out a sea chart that he had prepared long ago and said with a smile. This nautical chart was obtained by Luen on that merchant ship. Then the route is confirmed. Let's go, Luen. Luffy was excited. Learn. Luen also raised the corners of his mouth, looking very interested. Roronoa Zoro, I wonder if there is anything worth adding to the list of entries about this real man, known as the Straw Hat Pirates. Chapter 8. Let the Dry Sea Boil Again. The headquarters of World Economic News Agency. News. Is there no big news worth reporting? Morgans, the president of the World Economic News Agency, who usually appears in the human-animal form of the bird fruit albatross, is very annoyed at this time. Shit balance. Shit world government. Shit Shichibukai. Morgans slammed the table and cursed. Ever since this shitty Shichibukai system was completely completed, forming a situation of balance among the three major forces of the Marine headquarters, Shichibukai, and the four emperors, the number of big news worth reporting cannot be said to be declining sharply, but it is almost gone. Most of the 7 warlords of the sea are running their own pirate kingdoms. They are granted the legal right to plunder by the world government, and the Navy will not hunt them down. The 4 emperors are all in their own territories in the New World, and the Navy does not dare to rashly go to war with such forces as the 4 emperors. Therefore, in normal times, the Navy would only catch small pirates who were not worthy of being shown on the stage. Those pirates with high bounties either became the 7 warlords of the sea, or were protected by the 4 emperors, or simply withdrew from the world stage and changed their identities. The Sea of Shit was so calm that it was disgusting. How many pirates still have the dream of truly pursuing the great secret treasure, One Piece? Morgans was fed up with the days without any big news. There's more news? The East China Sea? Is there any news about the weakest sea that's worth my personal attention? When Morgan saw the transmitted information and pictures, and saw the location of news, he immediately became interested. As the world's largest newspaper organization, the World Economic Information Service has an extremely large structure. In order not to miss any big news, Morgans arranges men to take pictures everywhere. Although most of these subordinates are distributed in the Grand Line, there are also some in the 4 seas. For example, when Seahai's men capture something that could become news, they pass it up the chain of command for review. The fact that this news reached his hands meant that after layers of review, this news from the East China Sea was worthy of his personal review as the president of the World Economic News Agency. This is when Morgan saw the power released by the young man who claimed to be King Luen and the information sent by his subordinates. He jumped up. Countless consecutive photos plus data can create an image-like effect. Heroic hockey. There's no mistake. This is hockey. Morgans felt like every cell in his body was cheering. In this sea that has been dry for so long, a newcomer with the qualifications of a king finally appeared. The man who is about to stand in the sky calls himself the King of Heaven. How crazy. Ha ha ha, it's good to be crazy. Only then will it be worth reporting. Morgans laughed. If a guy who doesn't know his place said such a thing and called himself the King of Heaven, then Morgans would only sneer at it. Every year, there are some ignorant fools in this sea. But if a person who possesses Conqueror's hockey says this, and a man who is so young but can accurately control Conqueror's hockey says this, then it is called the ambition and magnanimity of a king. It is worth reporting. No, it should be said that this is big news worthy of the front page. The last newcomer who made him so happy was Portgasty. Ace, the user of the flame fruit, the fire fist, who had already joined the 4 emperors, the Whitebeard Pirates, and became the captain of the Whitebeard Pirates' 2nd Division. At that time, Morgan still gained a lot of news worth publishing from Fire Fist Ace. But the damn Fire Fist Ace was finally conquered by Whitebeard, and the news about him stopped from then on. After that, the sea was sickeningly quiet. But now Morgan's eyes sparkled as he looked at Luen's photo. Conqueror's Hockey. A newcomer who is so young, but can accurately control Conqueror's Hockey, and is so arrogant, is even more worthy of mention than Ace of the Fire Fist. And there's more to report. Morgan's looked at the information about the boy in the straw hat and the name he used when he introduced himself. Monkey D. Luffy, the captain of the pirate group that King Luffy joined. Monkey D? Ha ha ha. A strange arc appeared at the corner of Morgan's mouth. As the president of the World Economic News, Morgan's is very familiar with this surname. Isn't this the last name of the naval hero, Monkey D. Garp, and the leader of the Revolutionary Army, Monkey D. Dragon? Judging from his age, this Straw Hat Boy should be Dragon's son and Garp's grandson. Garp, that old guy, his son became the leader of the Revolutionary Army, and his grandson actually went out to sea as a pirate. There is also a crew member who has awakened the Conqueror's Hockey and calls himself the King of Heaven. Doesn't this correspond to the title of the Pirate King's right-hand man, Pluto Silver's Rayleigh? This is to become the Pirate King? The grandson of the naval hero Monkey D. Garp is going to become the Pirate King. These 3 generations are really interesting. There's so much that can be reported, and it is definitely worth writing about. Well, don't rush to report on the Straw Hat Boy. The first person we need to report on is Luen. Just like eating one bite at a time, big news should also be reported bit by bit. Morgan's had been very frustrated for a while, and now he finally caught a big piece of news. It seemed like a piece of news that he could continue to dig up and report on. Morgan's naturally had to seize the opportunity and dig out the most out of the news. At present, the power and domineering aura displayed by this Straw Hat Boy are not eye-catching enough. What is the most important thing about news? It should catch the eye immediately. What could be more eye-catching than a newcomer who claims to be in heaven in the future, calls himself the King of Heaven, and possesses the domineering aura? Once we catch the attention of the people on the sea, we will then conduct tracking reports on this pirate group. Moreover, with the surname Monkey, there is no need to worry about excessive hype leading to disaster, causing the pirate group to be destroyed prematurely and leaving him with no news to report in the future. It has been a long time since I've come across this kind of news that can be published without restraint. Morgause's eyes lit up. Spread this photo around the world, and spread the name of King Luen around the world. Tell all those garbage in this ocean that have lost their dreams and are about to decay that a new king is about to be born. This long dry sea is finally boiling again. Ha ha. Morganus laughed out loud. On Morgan's desk, there was a close-up photo of Luen. Luen above has extremely domineering eyes, and it is the moment of releasing the domineering aura. Soon, the front page headlines about Luen were printed. Below the close-up of Luen's photo, there was a title printed in bold letters, "I will stand in the sky." Of course, the news about the debut of Straw Hat Boy, Monkey D, and Luffy was also included, and Monkey D was also highlighted in bold by Morgans. With the help of countless newsbirds, this report will soon spread across the entire ocean. The long dry sea is about to boil. Chapter 9, Infinite Devil Fruit. At this time, Luen, who didn't know that his goal had been achieved and that the headlines about him would spread across the sea, he is sailing with Luffy using the navigation technique, White. The landing ahead is our destination, Shields Town. Luen checked the nautical chart and smiled as he saw the land appearing ahead. The happiest thing when sailing on the boring sea is to see land. If you can see the land where your destination is, the joy will be doubled. Because of Luen's advanced preparations, at least he didn't have to starve for days like Luffy did. In addition, the waters of the East China Sea are very calm, so this journey is relatively smooth for Luen, who has the navigation, White entry. We're here so soon. As expected, you need a navigator to go to the Grand Line. Oh, and a musician too. Luffy was excited. Before Luen boarded the ship, Luffy's voyages were all based on the free drifting of the small boat brought from the windmill village. After experiencing the feeling of reaching the destination so quickly and accurately once, Luffy became addicted. However, Luffy also said that his navigation skills were not good enough to sail on the Grand Line, so finding a navigator would naturally be on Luffy's agenda. Of course, musicians are a must. Musician? Not bad. One also found Luffy a little amused. Musicians are really Luffy's obsession, but the Straw Hat Pirates will not have a musician until they attack the 7 warlords of the sea, Moglite Mariah. During this period of time, Luen has confirmed it from the entry system. Although the 7 warlords of the sea are nominally affiliated with the world government, they are still pirates in essence and belong to the pirate camp. He is the most important figure in the pirate camp, second only to the 4 emperors. Killing the 7 warlords of the sea can also make your faction's luck, super gold, item take effect. In this way, we can really kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Moria's current strength is among the last among the 7 warlords of the sea. He is simply a piece of fat meat that has been delivered to the door. But before Moria, there are still troublesome guys to defeat. One of the 7 warlords of the sea, Crocodile, the user of the natural Sansan fruit, Crocodile. Luen narrowed his eyes. The Sansan fruit is considered a powerful second-tier devil fruit even in the natural system. With this ability, one can at least become a Shichibukai-level warrior based on the devil fruit ability alone. With the addition of domineering aura, it would be very easy to reach the level of vice captain or admiral candidate. Of course, Luen's real target is naturally the thunder fruit, which is also an invincible devil fruit in the natural system. A perfect devil fruit ability that combines speed, attack power, and destructive range, like a natural disaster. This is also the devil fruit ability that Luen must obtain. During these days of research on the entry system, Luen also received feedback that he is able to possess multiple devil fruit abilities. The entry system can turn devil fruit abilities into entries and then plunder them. Each devil fruit ability plundered by Luen exists as a separate entry. Also, because they are plundering and using the power of other people's devil fruits instead of eating them directly, Luen can use the power of the devil fruit he plundered without having to bear the side effects of eating the devil fruit. Even if you gain the abilities of multiple devil fruits, since the abilities exist as separate entries, there is naturally no risk of conflict or explosion. Judging from Blackbeard's special body structure, which allows him to accommodate multiple devil fruit abilities, the entry system turns the devil fruit abilities into entries, and they exist as separate entries. There is no need to bear the side effects of eating a devil fruit, which makes it much stronger than Blackbeard. And in theory, there is no limit to the number of devil fruit abilities that one can possess. In this case, then, the Sansan fruit, the thunder fruit, the tremor fruit, the human fruit, mythical beast type, Nika form, I want all these powerful devil fruit abilities. Before that, what Luen naturally needs to do is to strengthen himself to the greatest extent possible. After all, Crocodile, the future user of the Sansan fruit, and Enelu, the user of the thunder fruit, can be said to have been defeated by Luffy's protagonist Halo. Luen, on the other hand, prefers to hold his destiny in his own hands. In addition, the activation of devil fruit abilities also requires strong physical strength and physique to support it. Then the entry that strengthens the physique is what Luen needs most now. And it just so happens that in addition to Luffy, there is another man in the Straw Hat Pirates who will have one of the strongest physiques on the sea in the future. Pirate hunter Roronoa Zoro. Luen moored the boat and looked at the small town, Shields Town, with a slight smile on his face. It's strange. Why are people here so scared when they hear the name of a Navy captain? When looking for Zoro, Luffy, who was familiar with the place, asked the local residents for directions. But it would have been fine if they were just afraid when they heard the name of Sauron. But when they heard the name of the naval captain here, Monka, these residents became even more afraid. The Navy is not all good to civilians. A reckless Navy can be even more destructive than some pirates. Luen said slowly. Luen, who knew the plot, naturally knew that this was because the captain of the naval branch here, Axmamonka, bullied the people. For civilians, pirates are naturally hateful. After all, Most pirates are not like Luffy and his friends. Strictly speaking, they are explorers pursuing their dreams. However, except for a few extremely vicious pirates who committed arson, murder, and looting, most pirates harmed civilians by robbing them of their money. After all, the more evil things you do, the higher the bounty will be. Not only will you attract a stronger navy to hunt you down, but you will also be targeted by bounty hunters. Although robbing money is also bad, but if someone like Monka relies on his power to bully the people, he was even one of the driving forces behind Nami's hometown being ruled unscrupulously by Arlong. A scum like Colonel Mouse was a nightmare. If civilians encounter bad pirates, they can still seek help from good navy, but if they encounter such scum, it will be a disaster where no one can help them. Luen for Blue Star hates this kind of scum the most. While walking, Luen and the others arrived at their destination. Here is the Navy branch. A man was tied to the rack. Pirate Hunter, Roranoa Zoro. Luen, look, this is the guy. Chapter 10. The Path to Becoming a Real Monster. Following Luffy, I climbed up the high wall and looked at the man who was tied to the rack in the playground of the Marine branch. Although he had his head down, he exuded the aura of a beast. For Luen, who possesses the beast strength, blue, entry, the feeling of this aura is even stronger. As expected, even though he had just debuted, he was called a man who was like a monster in human skin. Luen praised and then secretly said, check the entry. Entries, Zoro 3-sword style, dark purple. Demonic beast physique, dark purple. Demonic aura, special. Conqueror's haki, unawakened, light gold. 3-sword style, dark purple, a unique sword technique in which a sword is held in each hand and the sword held in the mouth is used to perform a fatal blow. The sword has a bite force stronger than that of an adult hyena. Warcraft physique, deep purple, a warcraft covered in human skin. No matter how extreme its training is or how damaged its muscles and bones are, it can fully recover and become stronger. Ghostly aura, special, a unique, ghostly power that grants a move a powerful force beyond the norm. As expected, Zoro has the domineering aura. One looked at the entry for Zoro's Conqueror's haki, unawakened, light gold, and nodded. As one of the 3 strongest fighters of the Straw Hat Pirates in the original work, and even second only to Luffy, Zoro's opponent is the Pirate King's right hand, Pluto Silver's Rayleigh. And Zoro's life experience is not simple. Otherwise, how could he possess such power as ghost energy, special, and even be able to transform into a 3-headed and 6-armed being and use the 9-sword style? It is not surprising that a person like Zoro possesses the domineering haki. The ghost energy, special, entry is an entry that grants skills, making the owner's own skills stronger. Its power essentially depends on the owner's own strength, so is a special entry. However, looking at the explanation of the 3-sword style, deep purple, entry, including the note that the bite force was stronger than that of an adult hyena, Luen couldn't help but feel a little overwhelmed. But it is true that Zoro's ultimate move has always been the Sword of Promise bitten in his mouth, which is the Wado Ikemonji, one of the 21 great swords. Judging from Zoro's ultimate move, his bite force is so amazing that it is beyond the reach of an adult hyena. At present, he has not even mastered the power of cutting steel to become a swordsman, and is just a swordsman who fights with brute force. Zoro's 3-sword style is currently at the deep purple level, just like Luffy's rubber fruit before he developed powerful skills such as the 2nd and 3rd gears. For Luen, the most important attribute on Zoro is the Warcraft physique, dark purple attribute. No matter how extreme the training is, can muscles and bones recover and become stronger? Luen's eyes flickered. No wonder Zoro can be safe and sound despite such extreme training. According to official data, Sauron only sleeps 3 hours a day, and the rest of the time, he is in extreme training. If a normal person practiced like this, he would have probably died from broken muscles and bones long ago. Not only was Zoro fine, his physique even improved to the level of a monster. It is precisely because of this Warcraft constitution, deep purple, entry. Moreover, when fighting against Kaido, Zoro took on the combined attack of the 4 Emperors Kaido and Big Mom. That was a combined attack from 2 of the 4 Emperors at the peak of their powers. Although he was only blocked for a moment, he was not killed. His bones and muscles were only broken. If someone else present at the time had taken the call, there would have been no trace left. After the treatment, Zoro's body became even stronger, and he even killed the leader of the three calamities, Jean, the Flame Calamity, the leader of the Beast Pirates. This is certainly due to Luo's surgical results. But this world of Warcraft constitution, Deep Purple, entry also plays a key role. Even if the bones and muscles are completely shattered, they can recover and become stronger. This entry definitely has the potential to become a golden entry. It's just that Zoro has only been out to sea for a short time, and his physique has not reached as strong as it will be later. Therefore, his physique entry is temporarily the same as Luffy's Superman, which is at the Deep Purple level. Moreover, this Warcraft physique entry does not conflict with Luffy's Superman physique entry at all. Even complementary, Luffy's superhuman physique entry allows him to eat a huge amount of food that ordinary people cannot eat, and then absorb all the nutrients contained in it to strengthen himself. Zoro's Warcraft physique attribute can be trained infinitely and extremely by destroying muscles and bones, and then repairing the bones and muscles to become stronger. With the huge amount of nutrients absorbed by the Superman's physical attributes as support, it can even make the Warcraft's physical attributes recover faster. The huge amount of nutrition can also support the Warcraft's physical fitness items to carry out higher load training. The combination of these two entries is equivalent to combining the physical advantages of Luffy and Zoro into one. Even if compared with the monster Kaido's physique, his potential probably wouldn't be much different, right? No, in terms of potential alone, she can even be compared with the natural monsters, the Four Emperors and Big Mom, who were at the ceiling in terms of physical settings. Big Mom, Charlotte Luen, is at the bottom of the current Four Emperors in terms of combat performance. But that's because she has always been in a bad state, obsessed with holding tea parties and having children, and has an extremely low combat IQ. But judging from her physical condition alone, Charlotte Luen is undoubtedly the most terrifying monster in the world. When he was young, he was able to seriously injure an adult giant with his innate monster physique alone, and his pure physical defense was even more exaggerated than Kaido, who ate the ceiling of the mythical beasts, the fish fruit mythical beast blue dragon fruit. Although Superman's physique and Warcraft physique are definitely not as good as Charlotte Lingling's physique, but if they were combined, the upper limit of their potential to become infinitely stronger would probably make them comparable to Charlotte Lingling, that natural monster. The combination of these two terms is simply a passport to becoming a real monster. Luen's eyes lit up at this moment. You must get this entry yourself. Of course, the way to get it is very simple. Just let Luffy pull Zoro on board, and this way the attributes on Zoro can be naturally loaded. Hey, you two. At this moment, Zoro, who was being stared at by Rune and Luffy, raised his head slightly, revealing a pair of beast-like eyes. It's an eyesore, Zoro said coldly. Chapter 11. Absolutely tough guy. He quite unique. I can just untie the rope and let him go. Luffy was stared at by Zoro's beast-like eyes, but he grinned. Luffy, who was often thrown into a group of wild beasts for training by his unreliable grandfather Garp since he was a child, is very familiar with such eyes. This is the look of a wild beast. Even such eyes are sharper than those of ferocious beasts. Although he has never seen Zoro's strength, but with such eyes, Luffy can instinctively feel that Zoro's strength is not weak. Bang! At this moment, a ladder appeared, and a little girl climbed up the ladder and raised her finger cutely to Luen and Luffy. Hush! The little girl signaled to be careful, then jumped off the high wall and ran toward Zoro. What? Zoro looked at the little girl running over. His beast-like eyes became much kinder, and although his tone was no longer cold, he was still a little impatient. Big brother, are you hungry? I brought some rice balls. The little girl smiled brightly, with the rice ball she had carefully wrapped placed on her chest. This is my first time making onigiri, but I put a lot of effort into it. Little devil, do you want to die? Get out of here now. When Zoro saw the rice ball, his eyes did not move at all, even though he had not had a drop of water for 20 days. The coldness of words is to avoid involvement. Even if you don't want to implicate this little girl, There's no need to use this method. A soft voice sounded. Who are you? I told you all. You are an eyesore. Looking at Luen jumping down from the high wall, Zoro's face turned cold. This is the sincerity of a child. The sincerity of a child is more precious than gold. Luen looked at the little girl who was a little sad because Zoro didn't eat her rice ball and touched her little head to comfort her. Luen didn't want the affection of this cute little girl to be ruined by that scumbag Bellamember. Well said, Luen. Luffy saw Luen go down and followed him, although he still wanted to observe what kind of person Zoro was. After all, Luffy's criteria for finding a companion were not just based on strength. But since his partner has already decided to leave, Luffy will certainly not just sit there and watch. Luffy will always support his partner's decisions infinitely. You must be Zoro. Luffy looked at Zoro and grinned. Yes, who are you? After hearing what Luen said, the coldness on Zoro's face disappeared for the most part, but his tone was still unfriendly. I'm Monkey D. Luffy, the man who's going to be the Pirate King. Luffy pointed at himself with bared teeth. Luffy's partner. Luen's mouth curled up slightly. One Piece. An idiot. Hearing this, Zoro looked at Luffy with a twitching mouth. But Luen, do you know something? Why did Zoro not want to implicate this little girl? Luffy looked at Luen curiously. It's very simple. Judging from the attitude of the residents here towards the Navy captain here is not a good person. The name of pirate hunter Zoro is very famous in the East China Sea. As a well-known bounty hunter, he would not be tied up here if it weren't for some reason. Luen smiled and said, although he couldn't say that he was a time traveler and knew the plot, it was easy to reverse engineer and give a reasonable explanation based on the plot and the situation here. Then Luen looked at the little girl. But you should tell me the details. Since you risked your life to deliver food, this matter should be related to you. Luen smiled gently. Big brother, my name is Ligia. Liga first introduced herself politely and then told the story that had happened. The son of Captain Monka, Bellamember, often parades around with his so-called pet, a vicious dog. In the restaurant where she and her mother make a living, the vicious dog attacked the customer's food, causing chaos in the restaurant. Liga mustered up the courage to stop it and was targeted by Bellamember. However, Zoro fought back and knocked Bellamember and his vicious dog away, but Bellamember threatened to use his father's power to sentence everyone present to death. Therefore, Zoro and Bellamember reached an agreement that if they surrendered and were tied up here for a month without food or water and could survive, Rega and the others would be saved. Now it has been 20 days. You are amazing. If I don't eat for more than 3 days, I will starve to death. After listening to this, Luffy had already decided in his heart to bring Zoro aboard his pirate ship. My perseverance is completely different from yours. I will definitely survive. Zoro gave a determined smile. He was indeed a tough guy. It's a pity that he died here. Luen admired it. In terms of perseverance, Zoro is definitely a top-notch tough guy. In the original work, Zoro took on the pain of Luffy being hit by the meatball fruit and was seriously injured with blood splattered on the spot. And in response to Sanji's questioning, he created the famous scene where he said, "Nothing happened." Die here? What are you talking about? I still have 10 days to fulfill my promise. I will definitely survive. Zoro thought Luen was saying that he couldn't hold out for the last 10 days, and his tone turned cold. I'm not questioning whether you can survive, but do you really think that scum who relies on his father's power to bully the people will keep his promise to you? Luen said calmly. Ha, he's right. At this moment, a disgusting laugh was heard. A young man, obviously dressed like a second-generation rich, walked towards this side, accompanied by 2 Marines. Bellamember. Zoro seemed to understand something, and his eyes became unusually cold. I was going to tell you tomorrow when I execute you. Since someone has already guessed it, it doesn't matter if I execute you today. Bellamember looked at Zoro and laughed out loud. You bastard. Zoro's eye twitched slightly. The famous pirate hunter died in my hands. My name, Brumaba, will surely spread across the sea. Bellamember laughed arrogantly. Swoosh. Bang. As Bellamember laughed arrogantly, an outstretched fist hit his disgusting face and sent him flying. This scumbag. Luffy retracted his rubberized arm and looked coldly at Bellamember, who was knocked away. You, who are you? Seeing this action that was totally beyond the capability of a human being, Zoro was also stunned. Luffy is the rubber man who ate the rubber fruit. Luen Smaid Fantli. Chapter 12. Upgradable Entries. Rubber fruit? Obaman. Zoro looked at Luffy in disbelief. Things like devil fruits actually exist. You bastard, you dare to hit me, my dad will kill you. Barumib covered his cheek, which was swollen and red from being beaten by Luffy. Bang! 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 And what responded to Barumib was Luffy's fist. Stop it. If you keep fighting, you will really be killed. The two Marines next to him were just stunned by Luffy's ability of the rubber fruit, but seeing Barumib almost losing consciousness after being beaten by Luffy, they hurried forward to stop him. Can you please stop interfering with our captain's business? Luen smiled faintly, and red and black light flickered between his eyes. Buzz! The next moment, an invisible wave swept through the bodies of the two Marines. Their eyes rolled up, and they instantly fell unconscious to the ground. This is, looking at the man named Luen in front of him, Zoro's eyes narrowed, and he could clearly sense a terrible power emerging from this man through his instinct. Then the two Marines lost consciousness instantly. Zoro, who had never seen such power, had a look of disbelief on his face. This is called Conqueror's Haki. A weak person cannot maintain consciousness under this haki. The red and black in Luen's eyes faded, and he introduced with a faint smile. Heroic color, domineering? Zoro muttered the unfamiliar term. After he went to sea, he became a bounty hunter because he lacked money to live and exchanged pirates for bounties. Because of his great strength, he was given the title of pirate hunter, but he had never seen such a strange power. Whether it is the rubber fruit of Luffy or the power of the man named Rune in front of him, the sea is indeed extremely vast. I feel much better, you scumbag who deserves a beating. Looking at the unconscious Barumib, Luffy breathed a sigh of relief. Check the entry. Luen looked at the unconscious Bellemur and thought to himself. Entry, Bellumibo. Whitewashing 3 points, light purple. Whitewashing strength 3 points. Light purple can be whitewashed, and after whitewashing, the strength is improved. This kind of stuff also has a light purple level entry. Moreover, this scumbag, relying on his father's power, has brought disaster to many people. He can be whitewashed and become stronger inexplicably. The original author Lao Tse is really inexplicable sometimes. However, although it is a light purple entry, such an entry is of no use to myself. Just as Luen was thinking this, a line of light screens appeared. Purple level and above entries can be converted into fixed upgrade entries, which can be used to upgrade existing entries. Looking at the light screen in front of him, Luen's mouth curled up slightly after confirming. It turns out that this is how the upgrade function of the entry system is used. This can also be considered as recycling of waste. Plunder. Bellemur's entry was instantly taken away by Luen. Transformation. Looking at the entry of whitewash strong 3 points, light purple, Luen said secretly. Converted, currently has the number of potential light purple level entries, 1. After using this function, Luen finally understood it. To put it simply, it is actually able to convert some entries that Luen does not need into upgrade tools, which are used to upgrade the entries that Luen needs. However, white and blue level entries cannot be used for upgrades. As expected, blue sky and white clouds are very cheap everywhere, and it must be a complete entry, like the entry loaded from the Pirate's Companions, because it is a mirror-like relationship. Although it belongs completely to Luen after loading, and there are no restrictions on its use, it cannot be used as an upgrade material, because it is not a completely plundered item. Entries that reach the light purple level or above and are swept away completely can be used as upgrade materials for Luen's own entries. Combat-related terms are divided into potential terms and strength terms. For example, the faction luck, super gold, plundered from Koby is a potential item. The Sun God, super gold, on Luffy also belongs to the potential category. And the Conqueror's Haki, light gold, item that Luen has already lit up can be used directly in battle, which is a strength-related item. Like Luffy's Superman physique, dark purple. Zoro's monster physique, dark purple. They are also strength-related entries. The level displayed for combat-related entries, such as physique, is only the level of the entry that the owner's current physique can exert the corresponding strength, and has nothing to do with the upper limit that combat-related entries, such as physique, can reach in the future. The same is true for combat power-related entries like Zoro's three-sword style, dark purple, and Luffy's rubber fruit, dark purple. Potential entries can only be used to upgrade potential entries and cannot be used to upgrade strength entries. Seeing this, Luen felt a little regretful. If he could upgrade directly, he would like to use the faction luck, Super Gold, to upgrade the Conqueror Haki. Although the potential of faction luck, Super Gold, is huge, it is still far inferior to fully mastering the Conqueror Haki entanglement, Super Gold. That is, he directly possesses the power of a General Emperor. However, although it is regrettable, it is also expected. After all, potential is just potential, not strength. If it could be used directly to upgrade strength-related items and allow oneself to possess extremely powerful strength, it would be like creating something out of nothing, and the absolute law of conservation of matter would be broken. At this moment, Luen had a deeper feeling that he was in the real pirate world. This was a real world. Even if he had such a powerful system, he still needed to follow the law of conservation of matter. If you want to truly reach the pinnacle of this world, the system only gives you a pass to the pinnacle. If you want to become the strongest, you still have to rely on yourself. Luen's lips curled up slightly. This is interesting. Just let yourself see how far you can go. The capacity is improved, and the strength of the Conqueror's Haki is increased. A line of light screens appeared. As expected, the strength of the Conqueror's Haki is linked to the so-called magnanimity in the original work. Luen saw the light curtain and said secretly. This also proves that his decision to make a high-profile appearance and pronounce the title of King of Heaven was correct. In the world of One Piece, only by becoming famous and turning the blood and failures of your enemies into nutrients can you truly stand at the top of this ocean. It seems that I need to be more high-profile in the future and raise the bounty higher. Anyway, with Luffy's support, he doesn't need to worry about attracting pirates and navy that he can't deal with by being high-profile. Luen thought to himself. After clarifying the future, Luen continued to check the upgrade functions. 10 entries of the same level are needed to upgrade it to the next level. For example, this potential light purple entry obtained from Barumabur requires 10 to upgrade a potential light purple entry to a potential dark purple entry. Compared to others who can only practice slowly, this method is already extremely fast. At least Luen was very satisfied. In the future, when he encountered some purple or above entries that were useless to him, they would be able to play a significant role. Without this most important light purple attribute, Balloon Bear can be said to be completely useless. You guys are pirates, right? Why are you getting involved in this mess? At this time, Zoro was very confused. When I see a scum like this, of course I have to beat him up. Luffy grinned as a matter of course, then looked at Zoro. Would you like to be my companion? Luffy invited. Why would I become a villain? Zoro was a little confused about Luffy's train of thought and refused. But I have decided that I want you to be my companion. Luffy looked certain. Hey, can you please listen to me? Zoro said angrily. But if you don't agree, you can only wait to die here, right? A man like you should have ambitions that must be fulfilled. Are you really willing to die here? Luen smiled faintly. Zoro was silent for a moment. Die here? How could I be willing to do that? If he was willing, how could Zoro have relied on his willpower to go without food for 20 days? To become the greatest swordsman in the world, and to have his name heard even in heaven. This was his promise to his deceased childhood friend, Kuina. That's also Zoro's ambition. By the way, you are a swordsman, right? Where's your sword? Luffy suddenly said. That guy took it away. Zoro looked at the unconscious Barumabur. Then I'll go get your sword back for you. If you want your sword, you can be my companion. Luffy grinned and grabbed the unconscious Barumabur and left. Hey, wake up. Where's Zoro's sword? If you don't tell me, I'll beat you up. Luffy yelled as he slapped Barumabur's face. Luffy, the naval base is this way. Luen called out to Luffy and pointed in the opposite direction of where Luffy left. I see. Thanks, Luen. Luffy quickly turned back and rushed out again. This guy really doesn't listen to anyone at all. Zoro looked at Luffy, who was leaving, with a twitching mouth. You're so lucky to still agree that this guy should be the captain. Zoro looked at Luen, who stayed behind. Although Luffy is usually a little nervous, he is still very reliable at critical moments. Luen smiled, then looked at Liga. You should go back first, Liga. It's going to be a mess here. Luen said gently, but Liga looked at the slightly cold rice ball in her hand. Give it to me, Zoro suddenly said. Liga was stunned for a moment, and then a bright smile broke out on her little face. Here, big brother. Seeing Zoro wolfing down her rice ball, Liga's smile became even brighter. It's delicious. I'm full. Zoro finished the last bite and smiled. I'm so happy. Thank you, big brother. Liga looked at Luen. She understood that it was because of Luen that Zoro ate the rice ball she made. So, is a child's sincerity more valuable than gold? Luen looked at this scene and smiled. A smile also appeared on Zoro's face. Boom! And just at this moment, a loud noise was heard. Chapter 13, The Name of Luen. Loadable Entries Update. Boom! There was a loud noise. Luen and Sauron looked and saw a huge statue crashing heavily to the ground for the highest point of the naval base, splashing dust all over the sky. Could it be? Zoro looked at the shattered statue with a twitching mouth. The statue obviously looks like the ruler of this naval base, Captain Monka. Zoro stayed here for 20 days, and the statue was worked on almost day and night. Monka cared a lot about this statue. Looks like Luffy is lost again. Luen looked amused. In the original story, Luffy went to catch Bellemere to knock down the statue of Monka, but this time Bellemere was already in Luffy's hand, so he was able to knock down the statue of Monka. I can only say that someone like Monka is not worthy of this statue at all. Luen, can I ask you for a favor? Zoro looked at Liga, moved his lips, and spoke with some difficulty. Asking others for help was more difficult than Zoro had imagined. Don't worry, nothing will happen to Liga. Luen protected Liga behind him and smiled faintly. Rebel. At this time, a group of Marines, led by a tall Marine, rushed over here. The most conspicuous feature of the leading Navy officer is that one of his arms is an axe. Navy Captain, Axeman Monka. You are the accomplices of that boy in the straw hat. And you, are you planning a coup? Roronoa Zoro. That's it. You have committed treason. I will execute you on the spot. Monka's eyes were bloodshot. Luen, at least take Liga with you. Zoro roared. Want to leave? Everyone get ready. Monka raised his hand. Crack. Forced by Monka's strength and power, the Marines had no choice but to raise their guns. Am I really going to die here? Feeling the death approaching, Zoro was not afraid, but he was extremely unwilling. He has not yet fulfilled his promise with Kuina to become the world's greatest swordsman. Moreover, Liga and Luen were also involved. It's really noisy. Luen protected Liga behind him, with red and black flashing wildly in his eyes. Don't you think too highly of me? I'm just a branch colonel. Buzz! An invisible aura swept over the Marines who were holding guns and ready to shoot. The next moment, bang, bang, bang. The many Marines holding guns looked around and immediately fainted. This kind of power again. Can this power be released infinitely? Looking at the Marines lying on the ground, Zoro muttered in shock. Luen, I remember now. There's a latest news report that a man in the East China Sea wiped out the Alrita pirates with his aura without even lifting a finger. A man who claims to stand in the sky. Are you the King Luen? Looking at this incomprehensible scene, coupled with Zoro shouting Luen's name, and thinking of the most famous news in their East China Sea in recent times, Monka also had a trace of sweat on his forehead. I remember the front page headline of the World Economic News Agency that I saw a few days ago, which completely matches the current situation. The report's evaluation of this man was that a new king of the sea was about to be born. For Monka, who believes that titles are everything, a man with such a title is naturally extremely terrifying. Moreover, he witnessed this incredible scene with his own eyes. The man who will stand in the sky, King of Heaven Luen, Zoro muttered as he looked at Luen. What kind of arrogance and magnanimity is this? However, with such power, this man does have the capital to be arrogant. Oh, the report even found out about someone like you? The World Economic News Agency is very efficient. Luen nodded with great satisfaction. At least I don't have to worry about the Navy giving me a weird title. The capacity has been improved, and the strength of the Conqueror's hockey has been increased. Sure enough, Luen's speculation was confirmed again. Being famous on the sea can enhance one's capacity and thus strengthen one's domineering power. As for the principal, Luen also had some personal experience, because he saw that when Monka heard his name, sweat broke out on his forehead. Luen felt very happy. Rubber rubber rocket. At this moment, accompanied by a loud shout, Luffy rushed down from the top of the naval base. Luen, have you solved so many of them? Luffy looked at the Marines lying on the ground, with only a few of them still conscious, and grinned. Stahlhut boy. When Monka saw Luffy, his eyes suddenly turned red. The destruction of his most important statue must be avenged. But looking at Luen, cold sweat broke out on Monka's forehead. Go ahead, kill them. Monka roared at the few remaining Marines. Colonel, if we continue to fight that man, we will become like them. That man is a monster. The remaining Marines were terrified by this incomprehensible scene. I told you to kill them. Otherwise, I'll execute you for treason. Monka roared. What? Internal strife? Luffy looked at Monka, who was roaring angrily. Then he didn't care and took off the 3 swords on his back. There are 3 in that room. Which one is yours? Luffy looked at Zoro. All 3 are mine, because I am a 3-sword expert. Solon said. So, I'll help you untie the ropes, and you'll become my companion. Or will you stay here and be killed by the Navy? Luffy looked at Zoro and grinned. Forget it. It's better to die here than to become a villain. Zoro exhaled and gave a beastly smile. A beast that feels the threat of death is much more terrifying than a beast in a normal state. Great. We have a new companion. Luffy raised his hands and cheered. If you understand, untie the rope quickly. Zoro looked at the Marines who had chopped down Marine and Monka and could only kill them, and he suddenly roared. But the rope is tight. Luffy fumbled with the rope. Bring me the knife. Zoro roared, and in Luffy's surprised eyes, Zoro bit one of them with his mouth. Puff! The next moment, all the ropes on Zoro's body were cut off. Zoro held a knife in each hand, bit a knife in his mouth, and turned his back to block the Marines who were rushing towards him with knives. Roronoa Zoro joins the Straw Hat Pirates. Currently loading entry target update. Loadable Roronoa Zoro entry. A line of light screens appeared in front of Luen. The reason why these Marines and Monka were not wiped out in one go with the Conqueror's Haki was that it was a token of loyalty that Rune deliberately left for Zoro. Only by fighting the Navy here can we become a complete villain. The entry for Zoro is now in hand. Chapter 14. Target locked. Secret clown buggy. CH-14. Looking at the light screen appearing in front of him, Luen did not hesitate and clicked load behind the entries of Warcraft Physique, Dark Purple, and Ghostly Aura Special. As for the 3-sword style, which has a bite force stronger than that of a hyena, it is better to leave it to Zoro himself. Seeing the progress bar behind Zoro's Beast Physique, Dark Purple, starting to load, and the progress bar behind Luffy's Superhuman Physique, Dark Purple, having loaded about 1/3, Luen's mouth curled up. Soon, this path to becoming a real monster will be completely within your grasp. So handsome. Looking at Zoro's unique 3-sword style, Luffy, who loves novelty, was amazed. I have become a complete villain by fighting the Navy here, but Zoro raised his head and looked at Luffy with a beast-like smile on his face. I want to become the world's greatest swordsman. If you can't realize this ambition, you must commit seppuku to apologize to me. If I want to become the Pirate King's companion, I'll have a headache if I don't have this level of skills. Luffy grinned. Zoro, get down. Rubber, rubber, whip. Luffy used the ability of the rubber fruit, stretched out his right leg, and kicked away all the Marines behind Zoro. Rebel, seeing that the most feared King Luen did not move, Monka roared and chopped down with his axe. 3-sword style, Demon Slash. Puff! A splash of blood splattered, and Zoro used the Demon Slash, one of the most powerful secrets of his swordsmanship. Bang! Under Zoro's demon slash, Monka's eyes rolled back and he fell to the ground. I won he. Luffy raised his hands and cheered. Your colonel has been knocked down. Are there any other guys who want to come up and fight? Luffy yelled, rolling up his sleeves. Monka was knocked down? The few remaining Marines looked at each other. The next moment, crash, crash. All the weapons in their hands were thrown into the sky. Great. Monka has been defeated. We don't have to be dominated by him anymore. The Marines cheered and celebrated. What? They're pretty happy that the colonel was defeated. Luffy was a little surprised. After all, most people who join the Navy in this era still want to do something good for the civilians. Scum like Monka is a minority. Although Luen became a pirate, he did not completely deny the Navy. For civilians, the Navy can indeed bring them security in these chaotic times. Pirates like Luffy, who are actually explorers and can save local civilians, are very few in number, and they are constantly sailing, leaving the civilians with no protection at all. This is also why many countries join the Four Emperors to seek refuge. Only by having a fixed territory can they bring a sense of security to civilians. Well, that's right, I have a pretty good impression of these Navy men. Luffy thought about it and nodded. You two are indeed different from the average villains. Zoro was a little surprised, and then the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. His promises were as good as gold. And if he said he would join, he would definitely join, but it was also worth being happy to be able to join a pirate group that was not bad. After all, he decided to join not only because he was threatened with death, but also because he wanted to continue to fulfill his dream. More importantly, he could feel that Luffy and Luen were completely different from those pirate villains who burned, killed, and looted. Especially Luen, a man who can say a child's sincerity is more precious than gold, is naturally not a bad person. What's more, this man also possesses the incredibly powerful power of Conqueror's Haki. As a captain, Luffy, who is recognized by such a man, naturally has his own strengths. Now it seems that his feeling was right. The bond with Zoro increases, and the progress of loading entries increases. A line of light screens appeared, causing Luen's mouth to curl up slightly. Well, it really works. I'm hungry. At this moment, Zoro suddenly fell down. He hadn't eaten for 20 days, but he was still able to defeat Monka just now, all thanks to Liga's rice balls. Brother, come to my house for dinner. Liga invited happily. Food. Can we go too? Luffy suddenly shouted excitedly. Yeah, of course. Big brother, you saved the town. Liga smiled even more happily. Luen, let's go and eat. Luffy looked at Luen. You guys go ahead. I received news that this naval base has a chart of the Grand Route. I'll go get it first. Luen looked toward the naval base and said slowly. Then we'll go first. Luffy pulled one of Zoro's feet, who had no strength left. Hey, you. Are you sure Zoro, who had no strength left, had his mouth twitching? It's time to eat. Luffy grabbed one of Zoro's feet and picked up Rika as well. Under Rika's guidance, they rushed towards the restaurant. As for Zoro, he was being dragged by one foot by Luffy and sliding on the ground. You bastard, at least carry me up. Zoro's roar was drowned out by Luffy's excited shout. Meal! I'll kill you sooner or later. You bastard. Looking at this daily routine, which is considered a famous scene in the original novel, Luen also smiled. Then, according to the entry system, Monka's office was quickly found. Sure enough, Nami opened this safe, but she kept this. She is indeed one of the cowardly trio. After Luen opened the safe, he looked at the paper in his hand with amusement. There's a picture of the Buggy Pirates logo on it, and the words, "I have accepted the chart," were written on it. As for why Luen knew. Entry. The safe that was opened and then closed by Nami, without the valuable nautical chart. In order to avoid being targeted by the Navy, Nami cleverly kept the paper. As for not meeting Nami, Luen was not disappointed. After all, without observation Haki, it would not be easy to catch Nami, who had experienced an infiltration. But Luen was not in a hurry. After all, they would meet at the Buggy Pirates soon. Joker, Bucky. Luen looked at the paper in his hand with a strange look in his eyes. He is a trainee on Roger's pirate ship, along with the current Four Emperors, red-haired Shanks. Even when the Roger pirates and the Whitebeard pirates went to war, what was so special about Buggy, who left a deeper impression on Whitebeard than Red Hair? This was something Luen was very curious about after reading the original work. After all, in the original work, Buggy first relied on his identity as a member of Roger's pirate group to gather a large group of good players, and then he became one of the 7 warlords of the sea because of his identity as a member of the Pirate King's crew. Later, with various coincidences, he became one of the 4 emperors thanks to the 2 father emperors Hawkeye and Crocodile. The performance of its own strength is indeed very bad. However, in front of Luen, who has the strongest entry system, no matter what special features Buggy has, he cannot hide it from Luen. Just like Shanks, you are valued by Roger. I hope you can bring me some surprises, Buggy. Luen took the paper and walked towards Liga's restaurant. Post views for Chapter 15. Good job solving 2 idiots. CH 15. Luen, you're here? Have you found the sea chart? With the help of the entry system, Luen found Liga's restaurant without even asking for directions. Luffy's mouth was full of food at this time. When he saw Luen coming in, he swallowed the food in his mouth in one gulp. Bucky took it. Luen opened the paper in his hand. Bucky? Who? Is he strong? Luffy asked curiously. He's a pirate with a bounty of 15 million berries. That's pretty good for the East Sea. Luen smiled fondly. 15 million Baileys? If I kill him, will my bounty be that much? When Luffy heard the word bounty, his eyes lit up. Perhaps. Luen looked at Luffy and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. Well, I'm hooked. Yoshi. Then go kill that Buggy and take back the sea chart. Luffy rolled up his sleeves, ready to fight. Hey, are we going to go to war with a pirate group just for the bounty? Zoro suddenly felt like he was on a pirate ship. Just before Luen came, he had already confirmed with Luffy. In this pirate group, he is the 2nd crew member besides Luen. And the pirate ship was just a small one docked at the port. Now, they have to go to war with the Buggy pirates for the bounty. Although he is not afraid, Luffy is too careless and does not act like a captain at all. It's not just for the bounty. After all, to travel to the Grand Line, a sea chart is necessary. If you want to become the world's greatest swordsman, you can't do it in the East China Sea. You can only realize your ambition by going to the Grand Line. Luen looked at Zoro and smiled faintly. Yoshi, I want Buggy's head. Sauron was eager to fight. Well, 2 idiots who are very easy to deal with. Luen smiled. After deciding on the route, Luen also had a hearty meal at Liga's restaurant. Luffy has the power of a beast, Blue. Although his appetite is not as good as Luffy's, it is still many times more than that of ordinary people. However, in order to thank Luen and the others for defeating Monka and saving the town, all the residents of the town rushed to send their food to Liga's restaurant. Luen naturally wouldn't be polite. At this time, being polite would ruin the atmosphere. Seeing Luen eating the food they brought, the townspeople all smiled happily. Afterwards, just like in the original story, after the Marines who were unconscious due to the impact of Rune's conqueror's haki woke up, they came to Riga's restaurant and said that they would not arrest Rune and others, but hoped that Rune and others would leave the town as soon as possible. However, unlike the original work, the clown Koby has been dealt with by Luffy, and Luffy doesn't have to perform a clumsy play again. In addition, Luen did not forget that Luffy and Zoro, who were not prepared in the original work, almost fainted from hunger in the sea. So after preparing some supplies, the 3 of them came to the Straw Hat Pirates' temporary pirate ship. Set sail. Luffy stood at the bow and shouted with great enthusiasm. Zoro took the oar and sailed the boat out of the harbor. Luen held a nautical chart and directed the boat's sailing direction. After Rune and the others left, at the port, the Marines of the branch of this small town saluted Rune and the others to thank them for saving the town, and watched the Straw Hat Pirates go away. Luen, how long will it take to reach the shore? I'm tired of eating apples. I want to eat meat. Luffy said weakly to Rune, who was looking at the sea chart. Stop complaining. If it weren't for Luen, we wouldn't even have apples to eat. I can't believe that you want to become the Pirate King, but you don't even prepare any supplies at sea. Zoro looked at Luffy helplessly. After all, I'm not a professional navigator, so I can't know the exact arrival time. Luen said, looking at the nautical chart in his hand. As for the navigation skill, White, You can only sail in calm seas. If you want to know exactly how long it will take to reach the destination, it is better to leave this matter to outstanding talents like Nami. Then Luen picked up an apple and ate it. Due to Monka's violent rule, the resources of the residents of Shields Town have been almost drained away. In addition, this small boat has no preservation facilities, so it is naturally impossible to prepare a lot of meat. When sailing on the sea, the most important thing is vitamins, otherwise you'll get scurvy. Therefore, apples, which are cheap, can be preserved for a period of time, and can provide nutrition, are the first choice. Got it, let's eat it. At this moment, Luffy, looking up at the sky, suddenly shouted. Zoro and Luen heard the sound and looked and saw it was a bird. Huh, I can't fly. How can I shoot it down and eat it? The corner of Zoro's mouth twitched. Look at me. Rubber, rubber. Rocket. Luffy grabbed the sail with his arms and then used the elastic force of the rubber to rush into the sky. I see. Zoro almost forgot that this unreliable guy is also a devil fruit user. It seems that Luffy is still useful. At least he can improve the food. As for Luen, there was a weird smile on his face. The next moment, bang! Luffy's head was accurately caught by the big bird. Help! Luffy's screams were heard. Idiot! What are you doing? Zoro transformed into a fanged figure, cursing and paddling desperately to chase the bird. You wanted to shoot down a bird to improve its diet, but you ended up providing the bird with better diet? Entry: plot bird, the bird that drives the plot forward. Hey, boat over there, stop. Just as Zoro was trying hard to catch up with the bird that had carried Luffy away, three people in distress shouted on the sea ahead. Luen looked at the three people, with the corners of his mouth slightly raised. Is he a member of the buggy pirates who had his treasure and ship stolen by Nami? There are victims at this very moment. Hey, I don't have time to care about you. Come up on your own. Zoro shouted as he paddled. The three victims looked in horror at the boat that was heading towards them, then used all their strength to climb up before it hit them. Do you want to kill us? The three of them yelled at Zoro. It's a good thing you guys can still come up. Zoro's mouth curled up. Hey, we are from the group of that clown buggy. Stop the boat. This boat is ours. The leader of the buggy pirates was threatening with a knife. Zoro turned his head with a beast-like expression. We didn't even realize that you're the famous pirate hunter, Master Zoro. There's also the legendary King Luen, who has become famous recently. I'm so sorry. The three minions of the buggy pirates were beaten black and blue and took over the task of rowing the boat from Zoro. They smiled flatteringly while rowing. It's all your fault that we lost our companions. Row forward, Zoro said coldly. Don't worry. That direction is exactly our destination. Luen smiled as he looked at the sea chart. Well, as expected, even though he prepared apples in advance so that Luffy would not starve, Luffy, who was greedy for meat, still could not escape the fate of having his head bitten by a bird. The bird's destination is Orange Town, where the buggy pirates are currently based. Post views 3 Chapter 16 Buggy's Secret Super Series CH16 Orange Town. This small town, which is rich in oranges, is now the base of the buggy pirates. Finally got it. Lying, holding the sea chart, was desperately trying to escape. It was Nami who stole the Grand Line chart from the buggy pirates. And behind Nami, the minions of the buggy pirates are chasing them. Help! In the sky, a big bird was flying with Luffy in its mouth. Captain Buggy, there seems to be an unidentified object above the port. In a tent on a high point in Orange Town, a man with a conspicuous red nose opened his eyes. Blast it down for me. Bucky spoke coldly. Boom! A cannonball hit the bird accurately, and Luffy was able to escape and fall towards the ground, and his landing point was exactly between Nami and the pursuers. What happened? Nami looked towards the deep pit that was raising dust. I'm saved. It's been an interesting journey. Luffy jumped out of the pit, pressing his straw hat. Who are you? Nami looked at Luffy and felt that he looked very familiar. After a little recollection, she remembered the handsome face who had danced with her on a merchant ship and who had said goodbye to her at the end. I think his name is Luen. This Straw Hat Boy is the one who was on Luen's ship when he escaped. Nami looked to both sides but didn't see Luen. Hey, you are. Luffy also noticed Nami at this time and looked at her with shock. Sure enough, this guy also remembered her. Just when Nami was about to say something, she saw Luffy's head suddenly tilted, with a look up on his face. Who is it? Nami's mouth twitched wildly. Since he didn't remember her, why was this guy so shocked when he saw me just now? Boss, it's me. Luen. Looking at the dazed pursuers from the buggy pirates, Nami quickly adjusted her mood and started laughing. Oh, it's the thief Luen mentioned. Speaking of Luen, Luffy finally remembered. Yes, boss, you're here to save me, so I'm leaving it to you. At this time, Nami didn't care what Luffy said to her. She pointed at the pursuers from the buggy pirates and ran away. Hey, since you are the boss of that woman, then we will arrest you first and then make that woman hand over the sea chart. The minions of the buggy pirates set their sights on Luffy. I'm hungry. Luffy was holding his stomach, not in good spirits. Asshole, I'm talking to you. One of the pirates suddenly got angry and punched Luffy's straw hat away. Don't touch my baby! Luffy stretched out his arm to take back his straw hat, his eyes becoming extremely dangerous. Since Luffy was angry, these pirate minions were naturally easily dealt with by Luffy. You're awesome. Nami escaped to the roof to observe the situation here, and was surprised when she saw this scene. I'm a thief who specializes in stealing from pirates. Nami, do you want to work with me? After seeing Luffy's skills, Nami, who originally just wanted to get the nautical chart of the Grand Line, now sets her sights on the treasure of the buggy pirates. No, I don't want to cooperate with you. Luffy glanced at Nami, then turned and prepared to leave. Don't say that. I'll treat you to a meal, Nami said with a smile. Really? Luffy was immediately surprised. Tasty. Inside a house, Luffy ate a burger in one bite, with a smile on his face. Do you live in such a big place by yourself? Luffy looked at Nami curiously. No, I'm not from this town. Everyone in this town has fled because they're afraid of Bucky. Nami said, that's breaking and entering. Luffy always says what he thinks. How rude. I'm a thief who specializes in stealing from pirates. Don't compare me to something as lowly as breaking and entering. Nami retorted, but a thief is a thief. Luffy said as he ate, I'm gonna save up 100 million berries. With the chart of this great route, I will definitely be able to do it. Nami's face was full of seriousness. See chart? Are you a navigator? When Luffy heard this, his expression suddenly changed. I am much better than the average navigator. When it comes to sailing skills, Nami is very confident. Then how about joining my pirate group as a navigator? Luffy remembered what Rune had said, that he must find a great navigator to go to the Grand Line, and immediately sent an invitation. No, so you're a pirate. I hate pirates the most. Nami's expression suddenly changed when she heard that. Luen's figure also appeared in his mind. I originally thought that Luen, whose behavior was very strange at the time, was her colleague. It turns out that man is also a pirate. I see. Luffy didn't force it after hearing that and continued eating his food. After knowing that Luffy is a pirate, Nami no longer mentioned cooperation and prepared to leave. But when he came to the window and looked at the pursuers from the buggy pirates outside, his eyes turned and looked at Luffy. But if you agree to one condition, I will consider it. Nami smiled. Really? I'll promise you anything. Luffy was immediately surprised. Well, you need to accompany me to meet Bucky. Nami took out a rope and tied Luffy up. Why did you tie me up? Luffy looked weird. Any questions? Nami smiled when she saw Luffy was tied up by her. Nami is very kind. Otherwise, she wouldn't want to earn 100 million berries, but only steal the pirates' treasures. But when it comes to cheating pirates, she has no psychological burden at all. Nothing. I want to meet the pirates anyway. Let's go. Luffy then smiled nonchalantly. Meanwhile, Bucky was getting angry because he couldn't find the thief. Captain Buggy, a pirate henchman yelled and ran towards Buggy. What's up? Buggy was in a very bad mood, and the nautical chart of the Grand Line was very important to him. The thief came by himself. The pirates shouted. What did you say? Bucky's face was full of disbelief. Looking over there, I saw the thief escorting a tied-up boy wearing a straw hat, walking towards this side. That's them. This woman is the one who stole the chart. Some of the buggy pirates' minions pointed at Nami and shouted. Bang! Nami did not panic when she heard this, but just pushed Luffy hard, and the tied Luffy fell to the ground immediately. I have caught the thief, Captain Buggy the Clown, and I will return the chart to you. Nami held up the sea chart. I'm glad you got it back, but what changes have you gone through in your state of mind? Buggy took the chart and looked at Nami with a weird smile. I had a falling out with the boss. I've had enough of him. Please let me join you, Bucky. Nami smiled. This is the strategy Nami came up with. There is no way she could leave while being hunted by the Buggy pirates. Why not use this pirate and the nautical chart to gain Buggy's trust, and then find an opportunity to steal the nautical chart and leave here? Hearing this, Bucky's eyes suddenly became bloodshot. Captain Buggy is angry. The power of the devil is about to be activated. The Buggy pirates' members around them looked terrified. Demon power? Luffy, who was pushed to the ground, blinked when he heard this. Could it be that this Buggy also ate the devil fruit? The next moment, Bucky burst into laughter. Can't stand this guy. You're really an interesting woman. Well, let you join. Bucky laughed loudly. Nami's eyes curved with smile when she heard that. The infiltration was successful, and the pirates were simply easy to deceive. Afterwards, the brothers of Buggy pirates locked Luffy in a cage. Why are you locking me up? Luffy yelled, but no one paid any attention to him. I'm in a good mood today. What's your name, woman? Buggy looked at Nami. Nami. Nami introduced herself with a smile. Okay, let's hold a welcome party for Nami. Let's make a grand scene. Bucky opened his arms and laughed. Oh, the brothers and the Buggy pirates immediately roared in response. Afterwards, fine wine and delicious food filled the Buggy pirates' base. The way pirates celebrate is to hold a banquet. What's wrong? Eat more. This is your welcome party. Buggy looked at Nami, who was sitting in front of him, and laughed. Okay, thank you very much. Nami smiled in response. After the successful infiltration, Nami was planning how to steal the sea chart back, and even how to steal the treasure of the Buggy pirates. The Buggy pirates are quite famous in the East China Sea, and Buggy the Clown is famous for his love of treasure. If you can steal the treasure of the Buggy pirates, you will definitely make a lot of money. I'm in a great mood. Guys, prepare the special Bucky bombs. After a few drinks, Bucky burst into laughter. What to do? Nami watched in amazement as the brothers of the Buggy pirates set up a cannon and loaded a special cannonball into it. You have to watch out for the power of the special Bucky bullet. Ignition. Bucky smiled cruelly. Boom! Along with fierce flames, special Bucky bombs were fired. The fierce flames directly blasted the town in front of it, and countless buildings were destroyed by the violent explosion. What was that explosion? Zoro, who had already reached the shore, looked at the violent fire. That's Captain Buggy's special move, the Buggy bullet. The three Buggy pirates minions who were kidnapped by Zoro and Rune explained in a cold sweat. Bucky bomb. Zoro repeated the name. Let's go. Luffy is probably there. After all, he's a troublemaker. Luen looked at the direction where the Bucky bomb was fired, and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. Long time no see, Bucky. That's so gorgeous. With the Buggy bullets and the power of the devil fruit, I will definitely be able to dominate the Grand Line. Don't you think so, Nami? Buggy looked at the masterpiece he had played with his mouth wide open. Yes, Captain Buggy. Nami suppressed the turmoil in her heart and spoke. Fortunately, everyone in the town had left, and there were no casualties. It's me who's going to dominate the Grand Line. I'm going to be the Pirate King. Luffy was immediately dissatisfied when he heard this. Bucky's forehead was suddenly filled with veins when he heard this. I know why you can't stand this idiot, Nami. Buggy just found it ridiculous that a little brat dared to say he wanted to become the Pirate King. That's right, he is a naive person who has never seen the world, so there is no way to follow him anymore. Nami could only agree upon hearing this. Okay, then I'll reward you with a Bucky bullet to blow your former boss away. Bucky smiled cruelly. It also means that you're truly loyal to me. This is the real welcome ceremony. Nami, crack. A new Buggy bullet was loaded and aimed at Luffy. Fire! Fire! The Buggy pirates' brothers around him began to roar wildly. A box of matches was stuffed into Nami's hands, but her hands were shaking. She knew very well that if she didn't fire, Bucky would kill her. But how could she become the same kind as a pirate? What's wrong? Your hands are shaking. Luffy suddenly spoke up. This made Nami jump. It's because you challenged the pirates without sufficient awareness that this happened. Although Luffy was tied in a cage and was targeted by the buggy bullet, he was not panicked at all. What is enlightenment? Killing others easily? Is this the enlightenment of a pirate? Recalling the past, Nami gritted her teeth and asked back. No, it's the willingness to risk one's life. Luffy showed a smile that was different from his usual one, a smile that showed his magnanimity. Then let me do it. A member of the buggy pirates saw that Nami didn't take any action, so he took a match and prepared to light the fuse. Swoosh. Bang. At the moment when the fuse was about to be lit, Nami took out a long assembled stick and knocked the pirate to the ground. Nami, what are you going to do? Bucky looked extremely unhappy. Sorry, after Nami's impulsiveness, her timid personality automatically returned, and she bowed and apologized. You think an apology is all you need to do? Bucky suddenly transformed into a fanged image. What the hell? You want to save me now? Luffy couldn't figure out what Nami was thinking. Don't talk nonsense, I just acted on impulse. I just don't want to be like the cruel pirates. Nami held a long stick, wary of the members of the buggy pirates who were gradually surrounding her. What? It was just a spur-of-the-moment action. Luffy thought Nami was going to join his pirate group. The pirates took the life of my most important person. Who would want to be with them? Seeing that the situation had come to this point, Nami simply vented her anger. So that's how it is. Luffy finally understood. No wonder Nami, who originally wanted to cooperate with him, immediately refused to join as soon as she heard that he was a pirate. Squeak! At this moment, the sound of burning fuse was heard. Ah! The fuse is on fire. Luffy suddenly panicked. His rubber body could withstand blows, but not explosions. You should know when to stop fooling people, little girl. Kill her in style. At this moment, Bucky's eyes were full of bloodshot, and he was completely enraged. Gogoose. Several members of the buggy pirates who wanted to show off immediately rushed forward. Nami dodged it with her agility, then quickly ran towards the lit fuse. Water! Where is the water? Luffy looked around anxiously. Damn it, it's too late. Nami looked at the fuse that was about to burn out, gritted her teeth, and grabbed it with both hands. The burning pain caused by directly grabbing the burning fuse made Nami suffer terribly. Luffy looked at Nami's actions in shock. The fuse finally went out slowly in Nami's hand. Go to hell. But the crisis did not avert, as the members of the buggy pirates behind her rushed towards Nami with weapons raised. Nami closed her eyes in despair. Bang! With so many people, it's not a big deal to bully a weak woman. A sneer was heard. Zoro. Luffy looked at Zoro with surprise as he killed the buggy pirate's minions with a knife. Sashi ignores me, Miss Thief. Then a familiar laugh was heard. Nami looked when she heard the sound and saw the figure who danced with her on the merchant ship that day slowly approaching her. Luen, it's a good thing you found this place, Luffy said in surprise. Luen, long time no see. Nami answered subconsciously. She didn't expect that they would meet again on this vast ocean, and still under such circumstances. Check the entry. At this time, Luen didn't have much time to reminisce with Nami, so he looked at Buggy. Buzz! There was a flash of dazzling golden light. Bucky, there is indeed a big secret. Luen's eyes lit up. Chapter 17. Swimming becomes stronger. Super Domineering Cultivation Machine Cheat. CH 17. Entries: Baki Cannibal Specialization, Blue. The Split Fruit, Dark Purple. Powerful Relationship, Special. Conqueror's Haki, Light Gold. Unawakened. Born for the Sea, Super Gold. Discarded. A golden light that was as dazzling as the sun god on Luffy suddenly flashed, and then dimmed strangely. The entries on Bucky's body were displayed in front of Luen. Shell Expertise, Blue, is the ability of Buggy to create special buggy shells. The fruit of splitting into pieces, Dark Purple, was not worth Luen's attention. Like Luffy, at this time Buggy can only make the simplest and most skilled use of this superhuman devil fruit, splitting himself to attack. This parahuman devil fruit, currently used by Buggy, is only very ordinary except that it can resist the slash of swords. even if it is awakened completely, with the upper limit of this devil fruit. The most it can do is to tear the surrounding environment into pieces, such as directly tearing a warship into pieces. Although it is quite effective in the chaos of battle after awakening, for Luen, a devil fruit of this level is not worth too much attention. Buggy, like red-haired Shanks, is a trainee in Roger's pirate group. He also has the Conqueror's Haki, but it has not been awakened yet. After all, she was the one who became one of the four queens by accident, and who could say to her subordinates, "Do you remember what your dream of going to sea is? Doesn't your life cry out? Go and seize it one piece." And judging from the information revealed later in the original work, Buggy's background may also be very special. One was not surprised to see Buggy possessing the domineering Haki. Powerful relationships, special once a member of the Pirate King crew. He has extremely powerful relationships and connections, and can turn danger into safety. This entry is the key to how Buggy became one of the 7 warlords of the sea in the original work, and later became one of the 4 emperors by accident. Although it can be said that Buggy is lucky, if he was not a member of the One Piece crew and a good friend of red-haired Shanks, Buggy would never have become one of the 7 warlords of the sea, let alone one of the 4 emperors. In the world of One Piece, you can't get ahead just by fighting. You also have to consider the ways of the world. Like in the original work, Kid, who had a bounty of 3 billion belly like Luffy after the Battle of Onigashima, was killed instantly by red-haired Shanks. Before the final battle, Shanks specifically asked for information about Kid. What Shanks looked at was not Kid's latest achievements and the improvement of his fruit ability. Instead, he looked at the network and background of Kid, the guy who dared to repeatedly provoke him. After confirming that Kid had no connections, had an ordinary background, and was just a young man, he killed him with a single dodge. But none of this matters. What really made Luen's eyes light up was the last entry. Born for the sea, Super Gold. Abandoned born for the sea. Possessing a swimming talent that surpasses the sea. As long as you swim in the sea, you can improve your own capacity, and then improve your domineering. Because you eat the devil fruit, the sea hates you. This entry has been abandoned. Luen stared at the entry, his eyes starting to become bloodshot. A super potential, super gold item. A super gold item that may even have an upper limit on potential that is even more exaggerated than Luffy's sun god, Super Gold. No wonder Buggy could become a trainee on the Pirate King's ship like Shanks, and left a very deep impression on Whitebeard. No wonder even Pluto Rayleigh said that Buggy's swimming ability will be better than his in the future. No wonder that before Buggy ate the devil fruit, even when facing Whitebeard, he could arrogantly say that he wanted to dye Whitebeard's beard red. The reason lies in the entry born for the sea, Super Gold. In the world of One Piece, the meaning of the sea is self-evident. The capacity of a strong person is also the key to the strength of domineering power in One Piece's power system. The term born for the sea, Super Gold, not only gives Buggy a swimming talent that is unmatched in the ocean, but he can also continuously improve his own abilities and thus increase his domineering power as long as he swims in the ocean. If the strength of armament Haki may be related to the owner's physique, the strength of observation Haki may be related to the owner's mental strength. Then the Conqueror's Haki, this king's qualification that cannot be strengthened through practice, can only be achieved by sailing on the Grand Line continuously to defeat one powerful enemy after another. Through a method similar to raising goo, using the enemy's failures and blood, the owner can improve his own qualities and become stronger. However, the term born for the sea, Super Gold, can actually allow the owner to improve his own capacity by sailing in the sea, thereby enhancing his domineering aura. It is conceivable how amazing this potential is. If Buggy hadn't eaten the devil fruit and made this entry obsolete, I'm afraid that the most domineering man on the sea today is not red-haired Shanks, but Buggy. This born for the sea, Super Gold entry is like a super powerful training cheat that allows you to become stronger just by swimming. It's no wonder that Buggy, who hadn't eaten the devil fruit, was so arrogant and confident. In the world of One Piece where the sea is respected, it would be strange for him to be unconfident and arrogant with such abilities. But this entry is both the success and failure. After eating the devil fruit, Buggy was rejected by the sea, and this entry was automatically abandoned. The ability to improve by swimming in the sea started to backfire on Buggy the moment this entry was abandoned. The extremely confident and arrogant trainee Buggy on the Pirate King's ship turned into a cowardly clown Buggy. No wonder Buggy was so high-spirited and brave when fighting against the Whitebeard pirates. But after eating the split fruit, just a few months later, during the Battle of Ewood between the Roger Pirates and the Golden Lion Pirates, Buggy became a cowardly loser who said he wanted to run away. Buggy's personality changed so much in just a few months because of the backlash against Buggy himself after the Born for the Sea, Super Gold, entry was abandoned. Everything is clear. Luen's eyes sparkled as he stared at Buggy. Luen must get this entry. In terms of physique, once Luffy's Superman physique, dark purple, and Zoro's monster physique, dark purple, are loaded with Rune's physical potential, he will be able to become a monster that is not inferior to Kaido in the future, and may even be able to rival Big Mom. As for devil fruits, with the entry plundering system, Luen doesn't have to worry about not having powerful devil fruit abilities. If he can get this Born for the Sea, Super Gold, then in terms of domineering, Luen will definitely be able to stand at the top of the pirate world. And it has the strongest entry system. Luen can use the power of the plundered devil fruit without having to bear the side effects of the devil fruit. In other words, even if Rune obtained the power of the devil fruit, he would not be rejected by the sea like Buggy and be abandoned by the Seaborn, Super Gold. Physical fitness, domineering, and devil fruit are the three most important potentials in the power system of the One Piece world. Luen has the potential to become the strongest in this world. Bucky did not disappoint me. Luen wants this entry. You bastard, do I know you? Look at me like that. At this moment, Bucky felt a chill. The look in this guy's eyes was bloodshot, as if he wanted to swallow him. It seems that his name is Luen. Wait, Luen. Chapter 18. Becoming a saint in front of others. Chidiethiocho, Luen? Are you the King Luen? Bucky looked at Luen, and his expression suddenly changed. The hottest topic on the sea recently is the report by the World Economic News Agency about the upcoming birth of a new king in the East China Sea. King of Heaven, Luen. That's the man's name. Yes, that's right, Captain Buggy. This guy is the King Luen, and the one with green hair is the pirate hunter Zoro. Bucky's little brother next to him took out a newspaper, compared Luen's appearance with it, and swallowed hard. The owner of Conqueror's Hockey. At this moment, even Buggy had some cold sweat on his forehead. Although Zoro, the pirate hunter, is quite famous among the pirates in the East China Sea, but as long as he is a swordsman, Buggy who ate the shattering fruit will not worry. But the domineering aura is different. As a former crew member of One Piece, except for the fact that he did not go to the final island, Raftel, due to a sudden illness, Buggy followed Roger's pirate group and almost conquered the entire Grand Line. In the East China Sea, no one knows better than Buggy what the domineering hockey means. That is the qualification of a king. Anyone who awakens is considered a powerful person, even in the New World. Such a man actually appeared in the East China Sea, etc. Buggy suddenly thought of something and looked at Luffy, who was trapped in the cage, in disbelief. This Luen, is this kid's crew member? The so-called King of Heaven title. Could it be that this kid wants to be the Pirate King and is trying to compete with Vice Captain Rayleigh's Pluto title? This means that this owner of Conqueror's Hockey also agrees that this kid can become the Pirate King in the future. Are you kidding me? A conceited brat who says he wants to become the Pirate King and a man who wants to become the Pirate King and is recognized by those who possess the Conqueror's Hockey are two completely different things. But why? Why can such a brat be recognized by the owner of Conqueror's Hockey? Bucky's eyes were bloodshot. King of Heaven, Luen. Nami murmured the name, looking at Luen in disbelief. These days, Nami was so absorbed in the nautical charts of the Grand Line that she had no time to buy the latest newspaper. Although I haven't seen the report, with such a domineering title as King of Heaven and a bounty of 15 million Baileys, Buggy the Clown is considered a great pirate in the East China Sea. The nervousness and fear when hearing Luen's name were enough to explain everything. As for Zoro, the pirate hunter, Nami also understands his importance in the East China Sea. But Buggy the Clown was just surprised when he heard Zoro's name, but became very nervous and fearful when he heard Luen's name. Just the name alone makes the great pirate clown Buggy so nervous. Could this man be so strong? Nami stared blankly at Luen, who was standing in front of her. The capacity is improved, and the strength of the conqueror's haki is increased. A line of light screens appeared. Luen looked at Buggy, whose forehead was covered with sweat when he heard his name, and Nami's shocked look behind him, and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. The reactions of those minions upon hearing his name were not enough to raise his character. However, the reactions of important characters in the plot, like Buggy and Nami, to his title still greatly benefited Luen and helped him improve his character. The process of improving domineering in the One Piece world is similar to the process of raising goo. Use the enemy's blood and failure to build up your own stronger dominance. The title of the strongest in the One Piece world is also built on the blood and failure of the enemy. The principle is the same. Therefore, relying on the name to improve the quality and then the process of domineering, you must make your name more and more famous so that you can constantly rely on your name to improve your strength and then increase your dominance. The best way to highlight the reputation of a pirate is naturally to offer a bounty. No wonder pirates all value the amount of their own bounty. Of course, this method has too much uncertainty. A more convenient and stable way to increase the amount of equipment and domineering power is to use the Born for the Sea, Super Gold, item on Buggy the Clown. You, Buzz! Just as Bucky was about to speak, he saw red and black flashing suddenly in Luen's eyes. The next moment, boom! A terrifying aura suddenly swept out and swept through the Buggy pirates. Many of the Buggy pirates' minions suddenly froze where they were. The next moment, their eyes rolled back and they fainted. Bang! 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 The minions of the Buggy pirates fell to the ground. The domineering power of the king is activated. The weak do not even have the qualifications to stay awake in front of the king. Skay! When? Luffy bared his teeth and yelled, giving it enough emotional value. Sharp! Zoro put away his sword and was also amazed. This power is terrifying no matter how many times I see it. What happened? Nami looked at the scene in disbelief. Judging from the appearances of Luffy and Zoro, it was Luen who did this. But Luen didn't move at all. At most, he just stared, and the Buggy pirates were almost wiped out. What kind of power is this? Although Aaron's power is terrifying, at least it is visible and tangible. Everything that was happening now was beyond Nami's ability to understand. Nami looked at Luen in disbelief, with a domineering smile on his face. Heroic color, domineering, Bucky's forehead was covered with cold sweat. Although I already knew that Luen possessed the Conqueror's haki, experiencing the impact of the Conqueror's haki personally was no joke. If he had not been familiar with this impact when he was in Roger's pirate group, he would probably have fainted instantly. Conqueror's haki, or the owner who can accurately control Conqueror's haki. Such a man would actually appear in the East China Sea and choose such an inconspicuous and arrogant kid as the captain? What a bullshit joke. Sure enough, he didn't faint. Luen felt a little regretful when he saw Bucky, who had cold sweat on his forehead, but did not faint. After all, he was a trainee in Roger's pirate group, and he had experienced Roger and Whitebeard's Conqueror's haki entanglement collision impact. Although Buggy has not yet awakened his Conqueror's haki, it is still somewhat unrealistic to expect Buggy to fall unconscious with just the impact of his Conqueror's haki. Then, we have to take other options. Must make Bucky lose consciousness. Zoran. Luen looked at Zoro. Learn. Zoro saw Rune's eyes and instantly rushed towards the unfired cannon. Before coming, Zoro learned from Rune that Buggy possessed the fracture fruit, and his swordsmanship had no effect on it. Drink. Under Buggy's horrified gaze, Zoro changed the direction of the cannon and aimed it at Buggy. Stop. There's a Bucky bomb in there. Bucky screamed in horror. Boom! The next moment, there was a flash of fire, and the Bucky bomb hit Bucky's feet. A fierce flame suddenly rose up. Chapter 19. One Piece World Old Rules. Go be human Luffy. CH19. Miss Thief, it's up to you to unlock our captain's cage. One looked at Nami and smiled. The buggy bullet can't kill Buggy. Luen's current strength can only be seen by the Conqueror's Haki. It is simply impossible to use the beast power, Blue, to fight against Buggy who possesses the fracture fruit. Although in the East China Sea, the power of precise control of Conqueror's Haki is already invincible. But when faced with an opponent like Buggy who cannot be defeated by Conqueror's Haki and has eaten a devil fruit, Luffy can only rely on him for the time being. One remembered that in the original book, Nami stole the key, but it was eaten by the puppy Shio Shio. Let Luffy do a job for himself and take away Buggy's entry. My name is Nami. You can just call me by my name. Although Rune and the others are pirates, Nami is also very grateful to Rune and the others for saving her. Wait, after Nami finished speaking, she disappeared in a flash. Are you using your men as shields, Buggy? The dust and debris in front of him slowly settled, and Bucky's figure reappeared. Looking back, Buggy's two hands had already been shattered into pieces. He blocked the two minions in front of him and took the attack from Buggy. You are so young, yet you already possess such domineering aura. Your future is truly formidable. But right now, I'm afraid you are no match for me, who possesses the fracture fruit. After the explosion of the Buggy bomb just now, Buggy also completely woke up from the impact of the domineering. Although the king's haki is the qualification of the king, before mastering the entanglement, this power can only be used for impact. In the East China Sea, there are not many people who can withstand the impact of this level of domineering aura, but unfortunately, Buggy is one of them. As long as they can withstand the impact, the next step will be a test of hard power. In this regard, after sailing with Roger's pirate group for so many days and nights, Buggy also has a good eye. The one in front of him is obviously not strong. At least, it's impossible for him to be stronger than the one who ate the fruit of shattering. Although, I don't know why a man with such a strong domineering aura has such mediocre strength, but Bucky knew that he only needed to do one thing at this moment, and that was to kill the guy in front of him. As for the pirate hunter Zoro, he is obviously a swordsman. For a swordsman, he dares to challenge Buggy who has eaten the shard fruit, even Hawkeye. Of course, the most important reason is that Hawkeye knows his and Shank's identities and will not kill them. Looks like I'll have to hold on for a while, Luen. Zoro drew his 3 swords and faced Buggy. Give me a gorgeous death, Buggy yelled, charging towards Zoro. Puff! Zoro dodged and cut Buggy into 2 pieces, and Buggy fell to the ground helplessly. Don't play dead. The slash attack is useless against the fracture fruit, Buggy. Luen said calmly as he looked at Buggy who was lying on the ground, pretending to be dead and preparing to launch a sneak attack on Zoro. It's really sad. After eating the devil fruit and being rejected by the sea, Buggy, who was backfired by the Born for the Sea, Super Gold attribute, used such shameful means. With Buggy's current strength, if it weren't for the fracture-shattering fruit, Zoro could easily defeat him. Since you know the secret of the split fruit, I won't pretend anymore. Upon hearing this, Buggy, who was lying on the ground, strangely flew up with a cruel smile on his face. Shattered into pieces, the clown's flying knife. Buggy roared, separated his hands from his body, and rushed towards Rune and Zoro respectively with throwing knives in his hands. Rubber bite. What? Buggy watched in shock as Luffy's head suddenly stretched out, and he caught the flying knife that was already in front of Rune with his teeth. What kind of body is this? Are you a monster? Nami stole the key and released Luffy. She looked at Luffy's neck stretched several meters, and her eyes widened. Your body can stretch to this extent. Did you eat a devil fruit, too? Bucky's eye twitched. That's right. I'm a rubber man who ate the rubber fruit. Luffy bit the throwing knife and spoke vaguely. Puff. Zoro first chopped off Buggy's attack with a knife, and then cut the rope on Luffy's body with a knife. I'm saved. Thank you, Thief Navigator. Luffy stretched his arms and legs and grinned. Don't call me names. I'm just repaying you for saving me. Nami looked at the thick-skinned Luffy speechlessly. I have decided to make you the navigator of our pirate group. We also need to get the nautical chart of the Grand Line. Luffy rolled up his sleeves and looked at Buggy. Don't make a decision on your own. Well, the fight between you pirates has nothing to do with me. I want to take the treasure now and get out of here. We can work together again if we're lucky. Bye. I wish you a successful start. Nami waved to Luen and the others, then left in a flash. Oh, thanks. Luffy responded with a smile. See you later, Nami. Luen also responded with a smile. Nami, who was about to run away, paused slightly when she heard Luen's words, then accelerated and disappeared from the sight of Luen and others. These words sounded so familiar. What Luen had said to her about seeing her again later had finally come true. Asshole, do you still have time to chat here? Straw Hat Boy, when I see your straw hat, I think of that damn red-haired man, which makes me very unhappy. Bucky's eyes were bloodshot. Red hair? Do you know Shanks? When Luffy heard the word red hair, it seemed as if a keyword was triggered. So what if we know each other? Bucky gave a weird smile. Where's Shanks now? Luffy asked anxiously. Who knows? If you say I know him, then I know him. If you say I don't know him, then I don't know him at all. Buggy became furious when he remembered that he ate the fractured fruit because of Shanks. What are you talking about? Are you an idiot? Luffy looked at Buggy like he was an idiot. I'm not so kind as to tell you what you want to know. Bucky roared in his fang form. Then I'll use force to make you speak out. Luffy rolled up his sleeves and prepared for battle. Let's just sit here and watch. Buggy is in your hands, Luffy. Rune took Zoro to a clean place to sit down and shouted at Luffy. Listening to the conversation between Luffy and Buggy, Rune also had a strange smile on his face. As expected of the world of One Piece, the network of relationships must be made clear before the fight begins to avoid accidentally killing people with backgrounds. This is almost becoming a customary practice. Leave it to me. Luffy's eyes were full of fighting spirit. Luffy, Lun's worker, is online. Chapter 20, Cheat Machine Arrive. CH20, Rubber, shattered into pieces. In the battlefield between Luffy and Buggy, one has a rubber body and the other has a torn body. The process of the battle can be said to be that both of them have limbs flying all over the sky. It was the first time for Luen to watch the battle of Devil Fruit abilities live, and he was very interested. Because of Rune's Conqueror's Haki, only Buggy is left in the Buggy Pirates group and can act. As for the others, even the Chief of Staff Kabaji, the second in command of the Buggy Pirates at the time, could not withstand the impact of Rune's domineering aura and passed out. So Luen's side was also very quiet. Even if there were occasional flying knives or parts of Buggy's limbs, Zoro beside him could easily knock them away with his scabbard. What a messy fight. Zoro, who had just gone out to sea, had never seen such a battle, and his eyes twitched. It is worthy of being the legendary Devil Fruit. It can be so exaggerated. My swordsmanship is totally useless against this kind of Devil Fruit user. Zoro cut a piece of Buggy's flying limb into two pieces, but the limb then flew back to the battlefield with Luffy. Zoro's face was solemn at this moment. This was the first time that Zoro encountered a situation where his swordsmanship was ineffective. Without Haki, the only way to defeat a Devil Fruit user is to find their weaknesses. Luen looked at Zoro and decided to broaden his horizons in advance. Haki, is that the power that allows you to make others unconscious? Zoro's eyes narrowed. That is the King's Haki, a quality that only one person in a million can possess. What I'm talking about is the armament Haki. With this kind of domineering power, even ordinary attacks can cause damage to the Devil Fruit ability user. Luen smiled faintly. Conqueror Haki is a king's qualification that only one person in a million possesses. Also, armament Haki can attack people with special abilities. Zoro muttered. With the qualities of a king, no wonder Luen's power is so terrifying. So how do you get the power of domineering? Zoro looked at Luen anxiously. The king's Haki cannot be acquired through practice. It is a natural aptitude of a king. As for wanting to obtain armament Haki, then go conquer the Grand Line, defeat one powerful enemy after another, and improve your own abilities, Zoro. I said that your ambitions cannot be realized in the East China Sea. Luen patted Zoro's shoulder. Armament Haki also requires sufficient capacity and physique to learn. Without abnormal entries like Bikina's Born for the Sea, Super Gold, One can only accumulate energy and learn to enhance his domineering power in the process of conquering the Grand Line and defeating one powerful enemy after another. This is why in the Four Seas, and even in the first half of the Grand Line, there are almost no users of domineering, but in the second half of the Grand Line, in the New World, there are so many domineering masters. In the Four Seas, and even the first half of the Grand Line, there is not enough capacity for people to learn how to be domineering. Grand Line? I'm really looking forward to it. It's right for me to join you, Luen. The corner of Zoro's mouth also curled up in a beast-like arc. The sea is so vast. What Luen learned here was something he had never heard of before. He is looking forward to future travels. At this time, after fighting for a while, Buggy also talked about his past with Shanks. After learning that it was because of Shanks that Buggy ate the split fruit and became a landlubber, and Shanks rescued Buggy from the water, so it was Shanks who saved you. Luffy looked at Buggy in sudden realization. That's not what I'm talking about. Buggy turned into a fanged figure and roared and complained. Anyway, it's all because of that guy that my life plan has been delayed by 10 years. Later, I made up my mind that since the sea was not working, I would plunder all the treasures on land, just relying on the power of the splitting fruit. Bucky smiled viciously. So, anyone who dares to touch my treasure, Buggy's upper and lower bodies separated and flew into the air. No matter who she is, I won't let her go. Buggy roared, past Luffy, and rushed towards a beautiful figure in the distance. Put down my treasure. Buggy rushed towards Nami with a throwing knife in hand. Oh no, we've been discovered. Nami, who had just stolen the treasure of the Buggy pirates, looked terrified. Luffy turned his head and looked at Buggy's lower body, which was still there. Call. This is the opportunity Luen has been waiting for. Don't think you can escape from my grasp, Nami. Look at me tearing you into pieces in a gorgeous way. Buggy looked at Nami, who was so close to him, and smiled cruelly. The next moment, bang! Bucky's expression twisted. Crack! Luffy kicked Buggy in the lower body, and a faint cracking sound was heard. Bang! Bucky's upper body fell directly to the ground in midair. My crotch, a man's greatest weakness, was attacked, and Bucky's face was distorted. However, Buggy did not lose consciousness immediately due to his ability to withstand blows that he had honed on the Roger Pirate's ship. But the next second, drink! Bang! At this moment, Luen exerted the power of the beast to the extreme. Then he kicked hard at the place where Luffy had just kicked. Crack! The sound of shattering became more obvious. This blow, adding insult to injury, caused Bucky's eyes to roll back, and he temporarily lost consciousness. The target loses consciousness and can be looted. The lootable entries are Cannonball Expertise Blue, Split Fruit Dark Purple, Born for the Sea Super Gold, discarded. A line of light screens appeared. The Unawakened Conqueror's Haki is not considered strength, but the Unawakened King's aptitude. The aptitude can only be plundered once, and the same applies to loading. The Awakened Domineering Aura can be plundered as a strength-related item. Luen also had no intention of plundering the shattering fruit from Buggy. First of all, Luen doesn't need this mediocre devil fruit. Secondly, if he plunders it, then Buggy, who is free from the curse of the devil fruit and is not rejected by the sea, may become a big X factor in the future. And Luen likes to take control of the future direction in his own hands. It would be more beneficial for Luen to use a mere fruit of creation to avoid a possible X factor in the future. As for killing Buggy after plundering the devil fruit, before the fight, Buggy followed the convention of the pirate world and reported his network of connections. The relationship between Red Hair and Rayleigh will be of great use to Luen in the future. Compared to the usefulness of the relationship between Red Hair and Rayleigh to Luen, the fracture fruit is not enough to match it. Luen's goal was clear from the beginning to the end. Plunder. Luen suddenly shouted in his heart. A dim golden light that only Luen could see flew out of Bucky's body and entered Luen's body, and then it emitted a bright golden light again. Plunder for the sea, super gold, success. Chapter 21. Standing there, I am so strong. Check the entry. Luen's heart moved, and a light curtain appeared. Entries, Luen navigation, white, beast strength, blue, Conqueror's Hockey, light gold. Faction Luck, super gold. Born for the Sea, super gold. Superman's Physique, dark purple. Loading, Warcraft's Physique, dark purple. Loading, Ghost Aura, special. Loading, Sun God, super gold. Loading, Born for the Sea, super gold. Born for the Sea. Possessing a talent for swimming that is unrivaled in the ocean. As long as you swim in the ocean, you can improve your own capacity and then increase your domineering. The word discarded has disappeared. This super gold entry, which had dimmed because Buggy ate the fracture fruit, was now lit up again in Rune's body. Born for the Sea, super gold. This domineering practice cheat is now in your hands. Luen closed his eyes and took a deep breath. Call. The sea breeze blew across Luen's cheek. Everything is different now. Luen slowly opened his eyes, and the corners of his mouth curled up in a smile that showed his magnanimity. It is indeed a cheating tool for cultivation that is both magnanimous and even domineering. Even though he hadn't entered the sea for a swim, just feeling the sea breeze made Luen feel that it was completely different from before. Luen could clearly feel the energy from the sea in the sea breeze. In a world of One Piece, the energy of the sea is everywhere. What Whitebeard said, that everyone on the sea is the son of the sea, is not just empty talk. It's just that most people can't feel the energy from the sea at all. Those who can intuitively feel the energy of the sea are either those who have eaten the devil fruit and are rejected by the sea, or they could be people like Luen now, who have the entry born for the sea, super gold. It's just that the devil fruit users are rejected by the sea. They can't even move freely in front of the sea's energy. And Luen, by being born for the sea, super gold, can use the energy of the sea to become stronger. Confidence, overwhelming confidence. It's like being the darling of the sea. Even before he sailed in the sea, just by feeling the energy of the sea in the sea breeze, Luen felt that his mentality had undergone a huge change. It's like a fish meeting water. It feels extremely comfortable, and with the positive feedback of the ocean's energy, it makes me feel extremely confident. No wonder Buggy was so confident and even arrogant before eating the fracture fruit. When facing Whitebeard in his prime, he even said arrogantly that he would dye his beard red with Whitebeard's blood. This feeling is really too wonderful. Luen looked at the sea in the distance and had an urge to go swimming. As long as he swam in the sea, he could improve his capacity and thus increase the strength of his domineering aura. With the entry born for the sea, super gold, it is only a matter of time before he fully masters the Conqueror's Hockey, entanglement, super gold, and reaches the strength of the peak Four Emperors. Moreover, with Luen, who was born for the sea, super gold, and his domineering potential, he is definitely at the top of the One Piece world. Kaido once said that only domineering can transcend everything. Then, you who possess the strongest potential for domineering power in the world of One Piece are destined to stand at the top in the future. The corners of Luen's mouth curled up in a domineering arc originally. Rune said this just to become famous in the sea, get a nice title, and test the effect of Luffy's reaction on the loading entries. At that time, I thought it was a bit childish. But now, Luen, who has obtained the Born for the Sea, super gold, entry, has taken it for granted. It is foolish to overestimate one's own abilities and speak arrogantly, but to possess sufficient power is the ambition of a strong person. Luen's mentality is completely different from before. Asshole, how dare you treat me like this? At this time, Bucky finally woke up from losing consciousness due to severe pain. At the first moment, Buggy activated the fracture fruit and split his body into more parts. If he were to be hit hard by these two bastards a few more times, his weakness would be completely broken. You're pretty tough. One was in a very good mood at this time, and he found Bucky very pleasing to the eye. If it weren't for Buggy, he wouldn't have been able to obtain an entry with such potential. More importantly, this entry allowed Luen to truly possess the mentality that a strong person should have. Why do I feel like you were a little different from before? Although Buggy was extremely angry at this time and wanted to teach Luffy and Luen a lesson, he was stunned when he saw Luen. Buggy has followed Roger and been in Roger's pirate group for many years. Although his strength is very weak now, his eyesight is not bad. Although when previously possessed that level of conqueror's hockey, in Buggy's opinion, Luen himself was not considered a strong man. It's not just a matter of strength. It should be said that the previous Luen did not have the aura of a strong man. People like Captain Roger and Vice Captain Rayleigh, just standing there, even without using domineering power, they seem terribly powerful. That is the mentality of a top-level strong man and the aura of a strong man that extends from it. But Luen now looks completely different to Bucky. Strong, just standing there. I felt that this man was terrifyingly strong. Compared to before, it is a complete transformation. Bucky was a little dazed, then shook his head vigorously. What the hell, he actually saw the shadow of Captain Roger in this guy. That domineering attitude of daring to challenge everything and trample everything underfoot. Stop talking nonsense. You beat me up so badly. Now I will kill you in a spectacular way. Perhaps it was through Luen that he remembered how high-spirited he once was in Roger's pirate group, and combined with his current situation, Buggy became angry and humiliated. Assemble the parts. Bucky roared, trying to fully reassemble the split body parts. Call out. Bucky looked at him in confusion. Only his feet came over. On my body parts, Bucky looked over and screamed in anger. Nami was seen tying his body parts together with ropes. At this time, Buggy only had a head, hands, and feet. You are indeed a thief. Luffy grinned and stretched his arms behind him. Fly, Bucky. Rubber, rubber. Ah, stop it. Bucky looked at the rapidly flying rubber hands in horror. Battle launcher. Luffy yelled and Buggy was knocked away and turned into a star. Ah, we win. Luffy raised his hands and laughed, knowing that Buggy didn't know about Shanks, and that his gum-gum fruit ability couldn't deal a fatal blow to Buggy who had eaten the split fruit. The best option is to knock it away. It turns out that being hit and flying can really turn you into a star. Interesting. Luen held one hand in a gazing position, looked at Buggy who had turned into a star, and smiled. As for whether he can get the parts back like in the original story, it depends on Buggy's luck. Stahl hat Pilots vs Buggy Pilots. Stahl hat Pilots win. Luen, who obtained Born for the Sea, Super Gold, won a huge victory. Chapter 22. Nami joins. Entry loading completed. Here, you need this, a chart of the Grand Line. After the battle was completely over, Nami handed the sea chart to Luffy. Hey, you want to give it to me? Luffy looked at Nami in surprise. After all, it is considered a collaboration. It is thanks to you that we were able to obtain the treasure of the Buggy Pirates. Nami looked at the two large bags of treasures beside her, and a smile appeared on her pretty face. If these treasures were converted into Baileys, they would amount to a total of 10 million Baileys. This was the biggest gain she had ever made. After all, if it weren't for Rune and the others, Nami wouldn't dare to go alone to steal the lair of a pirate with a bounty of 15 million berries. Although this can be considered as cooperation, all these treasures are mine. After Nami was happy, she immediately grasped the treasure tightly with a look of vigilance on her face. With this, we can go to the Grand Line, Luen. Luffy didn't care about the treasure at all at this time. He held the nautical chart of the Grand Line and shouted excitedly to Luen. That's right, but we also need a pirate ship and a navigator. Luen took the chart of the Grand Line, looked at it carefully, and then said. Luen, who only had the navigation skill, White, even found it very difficult to understand this nautical chart, let alone sail on the Grand Line. The Grand Route. A beast-like smile appeared on Zoro's lips. After Luen broadened his horizons, Zoro was now eager to go to the Grand Line to realize his ambitions. If it's a navigator, then this is it, Luffy pointed at Nami and grinned. Nami was still staring at Luen and the other two in a daze. This was the first time she had seen a pirate who was completely indifferent to such a large amount of treasure. These guys have no treasure in their eyes, only dreams. Do pirates who go out to sea solely for their dreams really exist in this world? Just as Nami was thinking this, she heard Luffy's words and immediately refuted. Hey, I told you I won't join the pirates. But Nami's eyes immediately turned, and she smiled again. But it's quite profitable to cooperate with you. We can continue to cooperate. Then it's decided, Nami will be our navigator. Luffy shouted excitedly. Temporary navigator. Nami corrected. Welcome aboard, Nami. Luen extended his hand towards Nami and smiled. Just like when he invited Nami to dance on the merchant ship. Seeing this scene, Nami obviously remembered how she met Luen, and she was a little dazed. I thought we would never meet again on this vast ocean. Luen's words, see you later, were just a cliche. Unexpectedly, not only did her dream come true today, she also became the temporary navigator on Luen's ship. Nami held Luen's hand and pursed her red lips. You guys defeated that clown buggy? At this moment, a shocked voice was heard. When Luen and the others heard the sound, they saw a frail old man with gray hair, wearing homemade armor and dressed strangely, looking at them in disbelief. We were the ones who defeated Buggy and his gang. Who are you, Grandpa? Luffy first admitted it generously, then looked at the old man curiously. I'm the mayor of this orange town, Boodle. Who are you? You don't look like a navy. Boodle first introduced himself, then asked, with shock still on his face. The Buggy Pirates were actually killed by these kids. Their hometown has been occupied by the Buggy Pirates. They must hate pirates very much. You must not tell them your identities. Nami warned quietly. I'm Luffy, a pirate. Luffy looked honest. Puff. Nami nearly fell. Zoro slapped his thigh and laughed. Luen looked at this scene and laughed a little. As expected, it's Luffy. See, pirates, Mayor Boodle's cheek twitched. I'm hungry, Grandpa. Can you treat us to a meal? Luffy patted his stomach. The use of devil fruit abilities requires a lot of physical strength. How can a pirate let others treat him to a meal? Nami simply couldn't find words to describe Luffy's behavior. It would be better if there was wine. Zoro was a little excited. Having a drink after a fight is Zoro's greatest enjoyment. We really need to celebrate. Luen, who got the Born for the Sea, Super Gold entry, was also very excited. Even you were like this, Luen. Nami was completely helpless. Do these guys know the current situation? They are pirates, and the mayor in front of them has taken over the town. Come with me. Unexpectedly, Boodle said after a moment of silence. Great, I have food to eat. Luffy excitedly followed Boodle. Zoro and Rune also followed with a smile. Although Nami was helpless, she had no choice but to follow with the treasure. Afterwards, Boodle brought several people to his home. On the way here, Luen and others also met the puppy, Xiao, who was guarding the pet shop left by his deceased owner. Xiao, who did not form a friendship with Luffy like in the original book, even yelled at several people. He gradually let down his guard after being comforted by Boodle. However, Luen just smiled at this. Compared to forming a friendship with Xiao like in the original book, what the puppy Xiao needed more was to preserve this pet shop full of memories with its owner. Afterwards, Boodle prepared some food for the group. During the conversation, Boodle also clearly felt the difference between Luen and the others in the Buggy Pirates, so he told them everything that happened here. Luffy just focused on eating and said nothing. Nami listened to Xiao's story, and she knew that even if the owner passed away, he would still protect this pet shop full of memories with his owner. And he was unwilling to leave even when facing the Buggy Pirates. Nami was obviously very touched, but she didn't know what to do. We are full. We are leaving now. Thank you for treating us to a meal, Grandpa. Luffy patted his stomach and smiled after eating a full meal. How can you still laugh so happily after hearing what happened here? As expected, pirates are cold-blooded and can always easily take away other people's important things. Who knew that when Nami looked at Luffy's smile, she suddenly lost control of her emotions? No matter what I say, what happened here has become a fact. What is lost cannot be brought back, right? Luffy looked at Nami. But you can't be so indifferent. Nami yelled out in venting. She knew this was the truth, and it was because of the situation here that she thought of what happened in her hometown that she lost control of her emotions. But the next moment, a hand gently placed on Nami's shoulder. Luen. Nami stared at Luen in a daze. Luffy is not indifferent. This is Luffy's magnanimity. Luen said seriously, it's always easiest to say it with your mouth, but it won't change anything. Just like you, Nami. Nami was about to say something when she was stunned by Luen's words. You must have a story, but we—
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.